Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Griffle Biff. Welcome to the channel formerly known as BFL Games. 2024 is over, and we played a lot of games in 2024. Quite a good amount of games. We got a little bit of Animal Crossing 5 a.m. loop. Hold up, I'm peeking the hell out of my microphone. Got a little bit of a Animal Crossing 5 a.m. loop. It's one of my favorite tracks from Animal Crossing New Horizons. I think I used to use this in videos back when I used to make edited videos. Hey, what's good, Rixer? What's good, Ark? How y'all doing? What's good, Gay Bat? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Griffle Biff. Welcome. Where am I hearing myself? Formerly known. Okay. Nip that in the bud. That was scary. It was a little in the past too. What the hell? I was in the past on my own stuff. I never know where to start with these. You know, it seems like it dumped them in mostly alphabetic order. But I think that there are a couple of games I want to start with. And I think that pertains to the no rank tier. These are games that I played this year that, due to their nature and the way I played them, I don't think I can really rank them. Also, the vast majority of these games were played on the channel, either in a video format or a stream, but there are a few of them that, like, I didn't. I'm gonna, give a basic rundown on everything, my thoughts on them. Like, you might be like, what the hell is Muse Dash, Brotato? Well, I talked a lot about Brotato, so if you watch my streams, you probably are like, oh yeah, Brotato, okay. Thing you wouldn't shut up about. So let's just get the no ranks out the way first. Before we do that though, how's the music? Is it too loud or too quiet? I just wanted a little something, so it's not just a bunch of silence. Anyways, let's do our first no rank, Fortnite. Oh, that's not no rank. I'll put that shit in F tier. F for Fortnite. F for Fortnite. Fortnite is kind of crazy. Fortnite is like kind of a goated video game. I'm not comfortable ranking it. I don't. How do you rank Fortnite? Because Fortnite is not just like a static thing. Fortnite changes pretty radically several times every year. I guess you could rank it on an end of year list based on how the year was. You can't even hear it. Is Ark the only one that can't hear the music? It is quite quaint. Should I turn it up a little bit? Fortnite has changed. Yeah, which isn't a bad thing, but it makes it like something that you can't really rank. I played the Avatar The Last Airbender season and then the Mad Max season. And that's it. I didn't even finish a Mad Max season. I was very no-lifing Fortnite. It takes a lot for a multiplayer game to pull me in because I really just don't have the time that I did, when I was younger. When Fortnite first started popping, I was on that shit, bruh. I was on that shit. Same with Call of Duty. Black Ops 6. This game came out like the week before I went on vacation. So when I took a vacation, a staycation where I was just gonna be chilling at home all day, I no-lifed it. I played the shit out of this for like 5 days. And then that was it. There's a bunch of different modes. There's zombies, there's campaign, there's the multiplayer, there's the Warzone shit. I just played the multiplayer. I thought it was really good. I haven't really put a lot of time into a Call of Duty in many years. This one I put a lot of time into. It was just very compact. And it was a really good experience. But I can't rank that, bruh. I didn't really engage with it at all. Ark, got some earwax, bruh? That tinnitus ringing out the Animal Crossing? Is Baby Driver in my chat right now? Fortnite, Black Ops 6, both tight, both monetized to hell like shit, and I hate that. Lame as fuck. That being said, if Hatsune Miku does drop next week in Fortnite, bro, I'm gonna cop, and there might be a couple of Fortnite streams again. There might be a couple of Fortnite streams again. I can't help myself. I can't help myself. It's too good. It's fun. I guess let's just go in alphabetic order. Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. This was, oh wow. So this is the oldest Zelda I've played, right? Yeah, definitely. I can't think of anything that would be older. And its age shows. It's like kind of cryptic. There's a lot of things that the game doesn't tell you. And there was one particular moment where if I hadn't consulted a guide, I would have been roadblocked. Straight up. Hardcore. Luckily, chat was my guide there. And I feel like having a chat nudge you in a consensual manner where you're like, please assist me. I feel like that's much more rewarding. It's like getting a hint from a friend or something. Rather than just consulting a guide. And it's like, go here, do this. It's like, well, there's no mystique. Having someone nudge you in the right way is a much better experience. And is this Ocarina of Time or Link to the Past? Do I have Ocarina of Time on here twice? No. Oh, the Ocarina and Link to the Past. They're just very similar cover arts. I didn't even notice. No, we started the year off with Wonder Song Arc. That was the first game we played this year. But I think A Link to the Past is great. I think it's one of the best Zeldas, actually. Even though, you know, my modern gamer brain was struggling. And don't get me wrong, there was a lot of frustration, but I always get really frustrated with Zeldas. Something about the way Zelda games are made and their puzzles just like is not perpendicular. What's the one where they they don't cross. They're parallel? No, but doesn't that mean they run together? Oh, because that sounds good. Maybe there's no good math formula here. They don't mesh well. But it's still a lovely game. It's great music. It was great to see like Ocarina and A Link to the Past are like two of the like foundational entries in the series that like really gave it its aesthetic, and they're the bases, right? They're big, they're huge, and they're very different. And I think A Link to the Past is better. So let's actually just do Ocarina of Time now. Ocarina of Time is also old as shit, and it being an old as shit, I guess we're just gonna start with Zelda's. Fuck it. Also, what's good, Sam? It being old as hell, 3D might make it more important. It might make it more influential, but I don't think it made it more fun. There's a lot of great stuff going in Ocarina. It's just in C as a temporary thing, by the way. S to C is why it's temporary. It's just here so we can talk about it. Would it be better if I put it in no rank for a talk about it? Damn. This is the oldest 3D game I've ever played. I'm thinking probably. That sounds true. That sounds pretty true to me. So we're gonna say that's true. It might not be, but I think it's true. And there's a lot to appreciate here. The music, the world, the structure. I actually quite like the structure. You know, going back and forth in these times. But like Link to the Past, there's just some old gamer disconnect. There's old game disconnect that like my brain could not wrap itself around. And my brain definitely had a harder time adjusting to Ocarina than it did to A Link to the Past. I think controlling Epona sucks ass in this game. Final Fantasy VII is older. Okay, sure, fair enough. That's probably true. If you said that's true, then it's probably true. But like, I meant it's like a 3D action game, or Final Fantasy VII is 3D, sure, but you're like just walking around on an overworld and stuff. Whereas this, there's a camera, you're interacting with things in the world in a meaningful manner. Whereas like Final Fantasy, it's like you walk up to a ledge and you auto jump, or you press A to pick a potion up off the ground or something, right? For the most part. So Ocarina was definitely fighting an uphill battle, and I appreciate all that it did. It's iconic as hell. But, on God, it might be the worst Zelda game I've played. It might be. It might be my least favorite. I just don't think it's that great. And I would love to attribute a lot of it to its age. But I can't. Because, where is it? Majora's Mask came out right after it. And is so good. It's like one of the best games ever. And granted, Ocarina is facing a little bit of an uphill battle because it came before, and it laid the foundation. Majora's Mask can't exist without Ocarina. And that's not like, well, Ocarina came first and Majora's the sequel. No, because like Majora is built off the back of Ocarina, right? Like the gameplay, the assets, it's built off the back. This is like, you know, a standalone DLC sequel, reusing the assets, you know. This is the Yakuza game of Zelda, right? And it's so good. So I can't put so much of the blame on the age when Majora's Mask is there. But also, something to keep in mind is I played Majora's Mask after Ocarina of Time. So all the jank and stuff that was hard for me in Ocarina of Time, I had adjusted to it pretty well by the time I got to Majora's Mask. So it's really hard to be impartial on these, so I won't. I'm just gonna go off gut, and gut is Ocarina of Time B tier, Majora's Mask S tier, better than A Link to the Past. That's gut. That's gut. And I'll say this, on a replay of Ocarina of Time, knowing how to play that game, knowing how to interact with all of its mechanics, everything it's got going on, understanding its logic, I think Ocarina of Time will go up on a subsequent playthrough. I think I'm going to have so much more fun with Ocarina of Time revisiting it, and I actually cannot wait to revisit it eventually. It will happen. It will happen. Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, dual randomizer when? What does that do? How does that work? Hot takes already flying. It's... I will say this. I think Ocarina of Time... I think it has better dungeons than Majora's Mask. And it's also got way more dungeons. I think Ocarina of Time actually has one of my favorite dungeons in all of Zelda. I don't remember the name of it, but if you go back to my Ocarina like playthrough, like I'm glazing it hardcore the entire time. It's so good. It's so good. Great dungeon. Great dungeon. You find items from either game across both games. Was it Forest Temple? Forest Temple was really vibey. It probably was. Like aesthetically, Forest Temple, like Kino. Gameplay wise, I remember it also being pretty great as well. That's the one that starts with like the Wolfos at the beginning, right? And then it's like kind of like a dilapidated like fortress. It wasn't for Ocarina of Time, you wouldn't be into Zelda as much as you are now. That's valid. You know, me saying I don't love Ocarina isn't me saying it's not important. I think if I were to say it's not important, you should probably just click off of my stream, unsubscribe, dislike, bomb all my shit. That would be ignorant. But I don't necessarily attribute to importance to quality and fun playing it, and subjective opinion. This list is a combination of my perceived quality of it, which leans into, you know, my opinion, and my fun playing it, which is also part of my opinion, and also my idea of some kind of like objective quality, which is impossible to measure, which is also my opinion. I liked a couple a lot. Yeah, I loved. Also, like, you guys sound like I'm kind of disparaging it by putting Ocarina in B. I don't think a B tier game is bad, by the way. And I think that'll probably become clear as we fill out this list. I don't think a B tier game is bad. Yeah, Ocarina Dungeon slap, though. Okay, RJ, thanks for hanging. There was one other thing I wanted to say. Oh yeah, if this tier list probably shouldn't be taken too seriously, unless it makes you mad, and in that case, then it's funny and it's very serious, and you should be mad. On God, some of these tiers might go like unused. By the way, all right, so there should be a couple more Zeldas here, right? Wind Waker. Ooh. Wind Waker's a weird one. Wind Waker HD, specifically on the Wii U. So let's go to something specific about Wind Waker HD on the Wii U. This game kind of performs, like, not that good. For the most part, it's fine, but when you're out, like, on the water and there's, like, cannon shots and stuff, this game dips bad. Outside of that, like, I remember the game running mostly, you know, competently, but, like, there's definitely some naval combat sections that are horrible. And I think that there's one boss fight that like pertains around that, and it's real bad. Wind Waker was really hard for me to get into initially. And I'm trying to remember why. I think that the game was just giving me really big mixed signals about its identity. I felt like the game was saying, you have a boat, go explore the ocean. And every time I tried to, I was met with a fog wall. And it frustrated me immensely. And there was a little bit more going on in that regard. I think that there was something in regards to like money drop rates and just drop rates of like items in general that was like confusing me. And I was just like, what the hell is going on? But when I was able to eventually get over this and just start kind of engaging with the game, I loved it. And the thing about Wind Waker is, it feels like unfinished. Too much money, F tier, yes. It feels like unfinished. And I'm not like, oh, this game is bare bones, there's nothing to do here. It's more that there are a couple areas of the game where it's like, what the hell happened here? And if I recall correctly, it kind of is in ways, right? Like, wasn't this like really rushed towards the end or something? You guys were telling me about it. And I don't quite remember the specifics. There was like lots of cut content or stuff. Like there are these like like I'm not trying to give spoilers on anything on this list really, but there are like these enigmatic like things that you see throughout the entire game, and you finally get to engage with them. And they're all the same. And they're all lame. Right? Very disappointing, very, you know, disheartening. And there are a couple of things like that where there are these things across the map that are all identical. That is, it's kind of a thing that people throw at something like Tears of the Kingdom with its, you know, sky temples. I think you know, that's something, a criticism that Wind Waker could share with that for sure. You were supposed to explore Sunken Hyrule. Well, you don't. So it's not a spoiler. But I think despite all that, Wind Waker's fun as hell. The music is great. It might be one of the best soundtracks. The visuals are great. I love the art style. It's weird. I think it is less so now, but at a point in time, the art style was so contentious. There's still people that don't like it, but I think it's great. I do think Majora's Mask is better, and the cracks in Wind Waker do show, but I think on a strictly fun-to-play level, Wind Waker is good. Combat, it's really combat-focused, I feel, compared to a lot of Zeldas. There's like a lot of enemies, and the combat is way simpler, but I think it's also very satisfying and very fun. And I like Wind Waker. I love it, actually. I think Wind Waker is pretty great. And we have one more Zelda on here somewhere. Twilight Princess is specifically HD on the Switch. Twilight Princess is a weird one. Twilight Princess is so weird. It feels like, I don't know, like the black sheep of the 3D Zelda games. And I don't necessarily know if that's it's perception or if it's treated that way by fans, because I'm looking at this strictly from like what it is as a game. It sticks out, and it not really in a bad way. I think it sticks out in a really good way. I think it's literally the darkest Zelda game, right? It's not the most colorful. It's pretty dark and gloomy overall, but I think it kind of fits that atmosphere. I love a lot of the side characters in this one. I think Midna is the best companion. I love her. She's so great, everything about her. I think this one has some of the strongest art direction. Like, I personally, I think, prefer the style of something like Wind Waker. I really love the cartoony, silly. Whereas Twilight Princess goes really hardcore with a lot of the designs, like a lot of, intricate detail. I cannot talk. Intricate detail. And it's like, as a response to the criticisms of Wind Waker, right? And I think it pays off. There's so many mobs in this that I just adore. I adore the way they look, the way they act, just them conceptually. They're great. But there are gameplay gimmicks. I wouldn't say Wolf Link is a spoiler. It'd be a spoiler to me, but like, as someone who hadn't played it, but that's the kind of thing where it's like, okay, jury's up on this, right? Wolf Link is weird. I like Wolf Link, but it's weird. I don't love Wolf Link. I love Wolf Link conceptually, but playing Wolf Link, I don't love it. I think he's odd. I think it's an odd gameplay thing, and it's not the most fun to play, even though it is cool to turn into a wolf and look at a wolf. And there are some really fun sequences. Like, there's a sequence where you're on these rooftops where Wolf Link is like really, 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 really cool. But outside of that, yeah. Min the best companion? Absolutely, 100%. I didn't care for Zelda that much in this game. Maybe one of my leaster favorite Zeldas? I don't know, she's just not especially present. Which is fine, but then that leaves me not super attached to her. And another thing, I feel this game maybe baited me a little bit. People don't like the intro to Twilight Princess. Whereas me, the intro to Twilight Princess is probably my favorite part of Twilight Princess. Where you're just in this small town, you're just hanging out, getting to know these villagers, doing menial tasks. I thought it was a really good little farmhand sim. And I understand that the whole game couldn't be that, but maybe if there were a few more seeds of stuff like that sprinkled throughout the game, I think I would have really appreciated that. Also, Hyrule Field in this game, which is like, in case you've never played a Zelda, these big expansive areas where you're running around a bit. I really didn't like them at first. I was like, it just feels like empty, too big. Ocarina of Time has these Hyrule Field sections, but it's so much smaller. And I didn't really care for them at first in Twilight Princess. But then I went and I played a little bit off stream. And when you're not just going point A to point B, I think that Hyrule Field in Twilight Princess is lovely. I think it's lovely. I think it's a very fun area to just walk around. As simple as that sounds, I think I was looking for the bugs. There are these collectible bugs in this game. I think I was looking for those off stream, and I was just like, damn, this shit is kind of lovely. And I think this game is lovely. And despite being, I think, more competent than Wind Waker and exceeding Wind Waker in multiple aspects. I don't think it's as fun as Wind Waker to play. And because of that, I will put it here. It's also maybe the weirdest Zelda. There's like some fucking weird shit in this game. Also, it has like one really bad dungeon that I hate. And A Link to the Past might get bumped down to A tier, I think. Because we'll leave it in S tier right now, but I think we've got so many big hitters on this list that I don't want everything to be S tier. I could see A Link to the Past bumping down to A. Okami has a beat in dog combat. Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting to Okami. One more Zelda. And this one is so weird. It is so weird. Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. I was really excited for this because, you know, I love Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. But they're also very big games, very open games, and very ambitious games. And too much of those three things as well. Their strengths are their weaknesses. And so when they were like, you know, new Zelda game, and it's going to be like a little more classic, you know, top down, smaller map, I was like, yes. And then they were like, you know, you can echo and like create copies of these things in the world, and that's the focus of the game. I was like, okay, so we're like kind of going a little, you know, Tears of the Kingdom fuck around mechanically. But with this scale, I think it could work. And I think it did work. And I think the most of the fun in this game is kind of just going around the overworld, being a little silly, experimenting with your kit. And you could do some really cool things with your kit. And then there are the dungeons. And I think the biggest issue with this game's dungeons is that there's one really great one. So I was playing the game and I was like, yeah, these dungeons are fine. I was just excited to have dungeons back in Zelda. And then I did the one in, I think it's the Deku Scrub area. And it was goated. I loved it. It was so good. I think it was that one. I might have to go back and check, but I'm 90% certain it was that one because I remember that area very fondly. And it was so good that like after playing that dungeon, all the other dungeons which I had been like, yeah, they're okay. Meh. Huh. But after doing that dungeon, the meh dungeons looked like bad dungeons. Also, Zelda has a lot of charm. I'll touch on that in a second, Ark. All Zeldas are full of charm, and there is plenty of charm to be found in Echoes of Wisdom, but something about the dialogue's not right in this game. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the original script. I don't know if they got a new team on translation, but the game's not as funny. It's not as silly and wacky in the dialogue department. And so there's so much dialogue in this game. And not that much of it is really exciting. A lot of the pre-dungeon build-ups is characters just kind of yapping at you, and it being like them saying the same thing over and over again. And me, like, there were points in this game where I was like, I think I might have started mashing through dialogue a little bit, which that's something I almost never do on the channel. You know, that might be something I do if I'm gaming a little bit off stream, but for the channel, like, it's got to be especially, you know, bad for me to start doing that. And I did do that. Now, Ark said, let's not pretend you didn't think the game was going to be ass for a bit leading up. I was really excited initially for Echoes of Wisdom until they released this, like, developer interview where they were, like, saying that we should make, like, video games with a press A to win button. And why think about anything when you could just do the same thing over and over again and have the game play itself? And I was like, what the hell is this? And then when I actually got my hands on the game, like, I don't even know what they were cooking in that interview, because they were describing the worst video game ever, and then the game was not that. I think the game is quite good. I don't think it lives up to these 4 though. It is probably going to be A tier. It might be bottom of A tier, and it could maybe get bumped down to B. We'll see. We're going to be reorganizing as we go along. But yeah, build up to this game was really weird, because I don't know, just the way people who worked on the game talked about it was so odd to me. Staying on the Zelda train, even though we've beat all Zeldas, Adventure Time, and the something of the kingdom, the Legend of the Nameless Kingdom, something like that. Let's just call it Adventure Time Nameless Kingdom. It's a Link to the Past with an Adventure Time skin, and it's fine. But if I didn't play A Link to the Past before playing it, it would have been very, very, very much hated by me. I didn't hate this game. I actually quite liked it. It's not great. There's some glitches that could be frustrating. I think the combat is like hard as shit compared to like any other Zeldas. It's like really weird. It's kind of weird. Like the enemies just like fuck you up in this game. It's really odd. My main issue with the Nameless Kingdom is it's like they looked at the cryptic style of some of these older Zelda games, or just older games in general, where there would be these secrets. Did I play Nameless Kingdom first? No, I played A Link to the Past first, because I remember being like, oh, this is like A Link to the Past, where I would do something, right? I was like, oh, I can get in the castle like this, just like in A Link to the Past. Let me go back and check. I feel like this is true. If not, then my mind is failing me. Hold up. I think if I go by my playlists, let's see. Hold up, is Rixor cooking? If so, then what the hell is going on in my brain? Huh. This is like Nameless Kingdom? Oh, okay, well, Rixor corrected me. Okay, well, I had crossed them a little bit in my brain. Okay, so I think what happened then is I played Adventure Time, The Nameless Kingdom, and I enjoyed it. And then I played Link to the Past, and I liked this game less. I was like, oh, this game is worse than I thought it was, and I didn't love it to begin with. One of its biggest issues is it tries to emulate some of the cryptic stuff going on in older games, as I was saying. Yeah, I psyoped myself. Oops. But the thing is, a lot of the cryptic stuff in these older games is related to secrets, whereas in Nameless Kingdom, it's tied to, like, progression. Like, not to get too specific, but there's a story quest, trade quest, that you need to beat the game. And in order to progress this, you need to cut a single particular blade of grass that is not marked as special in the overworld to uncover a secret. There's nothing special about this blade of grass. It's just the same grass texture as everything else in the game. And it's kind of bullshit. It's kind of total bullshit. It's kind of lame. It's still fun, though. If you're an Adventure Time fan and a Zelda fan, play it. I like it. But it's not that great. Alright, that's pretty much everything Zelda adjacent. Gone. Done. Right? Cope grass. Crabgrass, because it made me crabby. Alright, so let's get away from Nintendo pilled shit for a little bit. Deadly Premonition. Maybe one of my favorite games I played. Oh yeah, Tunic. Okay, hold up. Tunic. Where's Tunic? Where you go? Tunic. Tunic. This is a weird one, because Tunic is a very cryptic game. So Tunic is Zelda, it's like classic Zelda meets Dark Souls. And the combat is great. It does the Dark Souls. I was like, is it really Souls-like? I didn't really believe it, and then I got to some boss fights. I was like, oh yeah, it is. Great boss fights, challenging, fun combat, kind of challenging. Not the most challenging, but there's a good challenge there compared to something like a Zelda game. And in like Nameless Kingdom, where the combat is like hard bullshit, Tunic, it's like well balanced and designed around the difficulty. You can't really say much about Tunic, because if you want someone to experience Tunic, the best way to do it is to do it blind. I'll just say it's very cryptic, and I robbed myself of a great experience a little bit, and I kind of regret it. I do regret it, I think. There's a very cryptic and large-scale puzzle in Tunic, which is great for people that like that. And I kind of didn't want to do it. I kind of didn't want to do it. And chat was like, do it, do it, do it. And so I got pressured into doing it. And I'm not blaming you guys. So I was like, okay, I'll give it a try. I'll try. And I forced myself to do it. And it was fun. And also frustrating. But I think I like legitimately encountered a glitch while doing it. And I was like, fuck it, we're cheating. And I did it. And like I not only robbed the game, but I robbed myself. You know, there's a great experience I missed out on solving it. But at the same time, I don't know if I had it within me to solve it myself because of the scale of it. So I cheated myself out of the experience of solving it. But also it's something I may have never solved, and it's just like a weird thing that is combating in my brain of conflicted emotions on Tunic. Not an issue with the game at all, by the way. Not an issue with the game at all. Also, no, it's not like that, Rixor. It's hard to explain. I'd have to say a bunch of shit to spoil it, which I won't do. But Tunic is great. I think Tunic is really good. I don't think it's quite as good as these Zelda games. I think is it better than A Link to the Past? I think it might be. And I think it is, yeah. Great puzzle, great vibe, great atmosphere, great character design, great music, great combat, great story. I robbed myself. I hurt myself with this. It's still very fun on a revisit. It's more replayable than you think because you can do some of the puzzle shit on the way. That's true. Also, it's not like the puzzle is such a large scale. It's not like it's, oh, do this here and do this here and then blah, blah, blah. It's like hours and hours of like mapping shit out in a journal. And maybe I'm saying too much. It's big. So my looking up the solution is not going to prevent me from doing it again. I could go back and have that experience untethered, but a little bit of the magic is lost by seeing what it unlocks, right? You also skipped it. I don't think it's that uncommon. I do think it's maybe a failing as a content creator, though. I think if I was someone who had never watched my stuff, but I was a Tunic fan, and then I found this channel playing Tunic, and I watched it, and then that happened, I think I wouldn't be mad. Some people would be mad. But I think I would be a little disappointed. Deadly Premonition. One of the weirdest games I played this year. Ever since I played it, I was like, how could I possibly rank this game? I think it's a deeply misunderstood game. A lot of people say Deadly Premonition is so bad it's good. Oh, it's so bad that it's funny. It accidentally does all this stuff that is good. And so I thought that going into it. And then I played the game. And so much of what this game does right is very obviously intentional. I think that the game has tremendous writing. It's just going for a tone that people don't know how to interact with. It's a mystery game. It's a survival horror mystery game. less emphasis on the survival and the horror, but you fight monsters sometimes. For some reason, it kind of just happens. The big point in the game that made me realize this game knows exactly what it's doing tonally. It's funny as fuck, by the way. This is one of the funniest games ever. And also a legitimately gripping mystery with fantastic characters. When the main character, Francis York Morgan, is introducing himself to some of the supporting cast, he's a character that is just constantly lighting up cigarettes, all right? And so he's meeting these people. He's just like, yeah, York, call me York. Yeah. That's right. And he's like blowing the cigarette smoke in their faces. It's so funny. And that's when I was like, oh, you don't accidentally write a character this much of a jerk, this oblivious to the world around him, this funny by accident. And learning that lesson really early really led me to appreciate a lot of what Deadly Premonition is doing. That being said, there's a lot of stuff in this game that is horrible. The bulk of my streams of Deadly Premonition are short because it is a literal miserable to play. I played the Xbox 360 version, the release. This is the original release version, and it's broken in a select a number of ways. Every release of this game is broken. It's not well made. It's well made in certain aspects, in the story and the characters and the gameplay department and the performance department. It's not well made at all. The game looks about 10 years older than it is. There's a sequence where there's like dual screens showing up, and I was like, is this game, did this game come out after the DS? Everyone was like, yeah. It came out in like, what, 2011? I was like, oh. Every release is broken. Steam release, broken. 360 release, broken. PS3 director's cut with additional content that has since been uncanonized, broken. Nintendo Switch version, released just in the past few years, broken. And they're all broken in different ways. They are all broken in different ways. So no matter what version of Deadly Premonition you play, you're getting a well-crafted dogshit experience. I'll never forget this game. As mediocre as the combat is, I will say that there are a few bosses in this game towards the end that are mostly really good. There's some really great boss encounters in this that are off the wall insane and also fun to play. For the most part. That's all I'll say on that, for the most part. This is one of those games that kind of changed me. I quote it constantly. I think about it constantly. I'm constantly taking on tics of the main character. The main character is not autistic. He's got something else going on. But if you're not looking at it how he was written, he is actually the most autistic character ever written into fiction, and that's awesome. Francis York Morgan is an autism icon. I don't care if he's not like literally written to be autistic. That's how he presents. He's amazing. Goated video game character. Legend. I love it. It's not a very good game. As Ark said, how do you even rank this? Because there's no sum of its parts. Exactly. It's bizarre. All I can recommend is just to play the game. There's a million different ways to play it. It's widely regarded that the Xbox 360 version of it is the best version. It is backwards compatible. So there's that. It's probably the most easily accessible on the Nintendo Switch. I'll warn you, the driving physics are fucked up. You will be flipping your car, which is something I did not even know was possible. I'm not sure if it was supposed to be possible, but you will be doing it on the Nintendo Switch version. Also, the Switch version has audio compressed to hell. Sounds awful. Also, great soundtrack. Very good soundtrack. You have to knock it down for the sirens alone. There's a lot of driving in the game, and every time you drive, the sirens are blaring on the police car. Oh my goodness. Came a little late, but glad to see we're starting off strong with Zelda picks. Yeah, Link to the Past might get bumped down as we go, but we'll see. I've been too kind. Let's get some trash up here. Here's the crazy thing. I actually don't think that the Bluey game is trash. I think it's... I played a couple of kiddie games in my day. Paw Patrol being one of them, being probably the worst one. Bluey? It's kind of like you're watching Bluey. Isn't that the thing, though, with Bluey, huh? They're very short episodes. A very short game. Very short game, very light on content. And I believe full retail price, which is insane. It's a fun little romp. And a little kid will probably love it if they love Bluey. But I think the price that it's asking for is absurd. Also, there's really not that much going on here. It's just a charming, pretty well written, probably mediocre episode of Bluey as a video game. It's fine. But it's actually bad, though. It being D tier is largely because of the absurd price. This should be a $20 digital download game, and not a retail price. Your nieces love the Bluey game? Well, that's good. The not as bad as Paw Patrol award? Yeah, Paw Patrol would be F tier. Paw Patrol would be F tier. Bluey is D tier. Which is crazy because Paw Patrol is more of a video game than Bluey. Because Bluey is... I mean, Bluey has its mini games, but there's not a lot going on in it. Baby's first walking sim. What's your best moment, Ark? Remind me. Let's go for something else that's not so great. Plucky Squire. Probably my biggest disappointment of the year. I was really excited for Plucky Squire. Strong concept. You're a little cartoon drawing guy. And sometimes you leave the book and are exploring like a little kid's room. What a great concept. Great art. Very charming art style. Both the 2D and 3D versions of it. Led by a great artist, James Turner, responsible for so many great Pokemon designs. I was so excited for Plucky Squire until I played it. The writing is mostly fine. It's sometimes funny. It's never great. It had performance issues. It isn't especially fun to play. It has a great gimmick, and it does a couple of things with those gimmicks, but it just really never pushed them to where you would want to see them. It really underdelivered in pretty much every way. Really disappointing game for me. But even then, I couldn't say that I hate it. It's just like, really disappointing. It's really just not great at all. I think, yeah, bottom of C is probably a pretty good spot. Oh, when you were looping Bluey out of bounds? Yeah. If Plucky Squire was fun to play, it would be a good game. I think that's where I weigh in on Plucky Squire. All right, let's just go back up to Animal Well. Animal Well, really anticipated game for a lot of people. Debut game from Big Mode, YouTuber Video Game Donkey's new publishing studio. This was their debut title. Metroidvania, no combat. Unconventional tools. Very non-linear. Great game. I loved Animal Well. I thought it was fantastic. I thought the visual style was amazing. I thought the music was amazing. I'm not super experienced in Metroidvanias. I think that the non-linearity of it, like you can all of your tools are, not all of them, most of your tools are so versatile that you can experience this game in radically different ways. If I went back and I played it, I would take a very different route, have a very different experience, come to very different solutions for puzzles. I think it's very, very, very well made. And some of the creature design in this is so good too. You're just like a little blue-bee fella, and you know the game is very like minimalistic, and then some of these just giant creatures with like jaw-dropping, beautiful pixel art. So cool, so cool. Some hostile, some not. So many great moments in this. Best to be played blind, I would say. Forge your own path and make your own, have your own unique experience in Animal Well. Also, that's very surface level. Animal Well is filled to the brim with secrets. I didn't go out of my way to do some of them. This is one of those games where there are secrets that it's like, okay, we want people to band together on forums over the course of weeks or months or whatever to uncover them as a community. And that's cool. That's so not my thing. And I really appreciate that, but that's the kind of thing that's really only cool if you're one of those few hundred, few thousand people in the moment doing it. And I'm so happy that those people got that experience. But it's it's like a limited time event in Fortnite, right? Animal Well's just like Fortnite. Where you have to be there for it while it's going on. Or else you're simply just looking at a guide, right? It's one of those things that is very in the moment and it's cool. And if that's all the game had going for it, it would be lame. But the base Animal Well experience is very strong. Very, very strong. I would say it's actually, the gulf between Animal Well and Echoes of Wisdom is pretty high. I'm going to blow my nose real quick. Give me 1 second. You respect it even without participating in it, as far as the big stuff going on in Animal Well? Yeah, I definitely respect it. I think it's really cool. I just think it's one of those things where it's like very the moment, and it's one of those things there'll be like a video essay on it that'll like get 1 million views in like 5 years. It's just like it's a very exclusionary experience, which isn't a bad thing. Like I said, if that's all the game had going for it, that would be like pretty lame and kind of render the experience null and void. But it's not. It's a very deep, complex secret series of them that is just there in a game that is already very tight and very good. Animal Well is lovely. Didn't like it better than any of those Zeldas? Not quite sure. This is a vibes tier list. I like Deadly Premonition more than Ocarina of Time. You know? It's a combination of my experience with it and also my perceived objective quality arc. Like, you know, if I'm just like, I like this game the best. It's not just that. That is a factor. I don't know. It's my scale, bitch. The BFL scale, all right? UFO 50 has similar stuff with no interest doing yourself, but it still elevates the game even higher for you. For me, that kind of stuff is just like, oh, that's cool. You know? Oh, that's cool, I guess. Another Crab's Treasure. First Souls-like I ever beat. And it's quite good. I think it's got a great story. I think it's got great visuals, great colors, fantastic music. Voice acting. Krill has the main character has a good voice actor. A lot of it's not so great. But it's fine. It's not like, oh, this voice acting's dog shit. It's serviceable. Enjoyable level design, some great bosses. Not the most balanced. This game gives you a lot of tools. And if you use those tools, I think that the game probably does start hard, but by the halfway point, you can become insanely broken. If you see that as a positive or a negative, that's up to you. I think that the game does realize this and changes up its formula in some of the later levels to accommodate for that. So that's cool. I love it. Also, I think I almost cried when I beat this game. Like, I think the ending is quite emotional. I think it's lovely. I think it's quite lovely. Also, something to keep in mind, there's a big content update coming for this game sometime this year. New Game Plus, with remixed boss encounters, remixed enemy locations, boss rush mode. So much stuff is coming to this game. They decide not to get it. That's the thing here, and how much something like that bothers you, you know, varies from person to person. For me, I was like, you know, oh, these magic abilities are very strong, so I am going to use less of them. Some people don't have that restraint. Some people don't, you know, find that needing to have that restraint is objectionable, and, you know, don't like that the game is asking them to not use tools to cater their own experience. You know, it all comes down to personal preference. For me, I was able to cater the game to the way I wanted to play it, and I had a great time. I think it was quite good. Quite good. I loved it. I think here's what we're gonna do. Link to the Past is getting bumped down. All right. I think Another Crab's Treasure is lovely. Also, it's definitely better than Tunic. Also, is it better than Twilight Princess? No, it's not. Anyways, playing Baby's first Souls game led to me having a much better experience probably with Dark Souls. Dark Souls... I mean, I feel like its legacy kind of speaks for itself. I played it very briefly back in high school, which, by the way, I got called an old head piece of shit when I said that. I think I made a short saying that. I think I made a short saying, yeah, I played this game back in high school, but I didn't beat it. And someone was like, Dark Souls is out when you were in high school? Bruh, Dark Souls came out when I was in middle school or elementary school, bruh. The hell? Also, on Twitter, when I said it was my 27th birthday, someone was like, oh, you're 27? I thought, ... never mind. What did you think? Anyways. My old ass. Oh, music stopped. Loop it. Doo -doo. The crazy thing about Souls games, this being the only one that I played, everyone always talks about the bosses. And there's some great bosses experiences. But they're not even close to the highlight of Dark Souls for me. At least Dark Souls 1. The highlight is the world, man. The world is, for the first 2/3 of the game. The world is intricately designed. It's lovely to explore. It's a big labyrinth that all interconnects. And it's non-linear. But there is a recommended path. And you can figure it out intuitively just by playing the game. And it's so fun. It's so rewarding to find the ladder that you knock down to connect this area to this area, or find this secret cave that connects this area to this area, or this key that finally allows you to open this area and get to this area and go from here to here, and just traversing the map, uncovering the map, becoming intimately familiar with the spawns of all the enemies on the world. So rewarding. And then you get to areas like Sen's Fortress, which is this big dungeon, and it's hell, and it feels so unfair. There are these mean-ass enemies just shooting projectiles at you. There are these narrow walkways with just big swinging axes that are going to cut you. And at the end of the walkway, there's a guy shooting spells at you. So you're trying to avoid these axes, not fall off the edge. Avoid his spells. It's evil. And I go there and I'm like, am I even supposed to be here? Am I under-leveled? What is this? And it feels so impossible. And going bit by bit, every time you go, just getting a little bit further, a little bit further. And now I could probably boot up Dark Souls and just make my way through Sin's Fortress first try. It's great. That's the thing. Dark Souls second run. I did a New Game Plus run. It's a totally different game. My first playthrough of Dark Souls, it was what, 30-something hours? Maybe pushing 40? That second playthrough, bruh, you're down to like 15 tops. And it's harder, but you're better. It's so rewarding to master it. Oh my god, it's lovely. It's like damn near perfect. But like the third fourth of the game, if you were to say divide this into 3/4, the first and second fourth are really good. The fourth fourth is really good. That third fourth is just like, what are we doing here? And some of it is like so like comically bad that it's kind of funny, and some of it is just like, well, this isn't the most fun. But Dark Souls is lovely. Is it better than Majora's Mask? Ooh, I actually don't know. Oh, wow. They are very close. In fact, I will say they are so close that I will give the edge to Majora's Mask because it emotionally resonated with me, which is not something Dark Souls is necessarily trying to do. But since they are so close for me, I will give Majora's Mask the edge there because of that. Yeah, so I was 13 when Dark Souls came out. I'm making you feel old. We making you feel old, Samurai. Did I use a different weapon for New Game Plus? I did not. What are you not going to speak on, K-Bat? Me ranking it above these Zeldas? I'm sorry that Twilight Princess isn't as good as Dark Souls. I feel like that's not an uncommon take, to be honest. But I understand that Twilight Princess is very dear to you, so understandable. Also, by the way, another scrap treasure, playing this not long before I played Dark Souls. This game, not close to as good as Dark Souls. I'd say the gap between these is pretty large here. Even though they are on the same tier. But mastering some basics of this style of game before going into Dark Souls led to me having a much easier time. Much less frustrating time with Souls. Astro's Playroom? How lovely. What else is there to say? What a lovely video game experience, huh? Astro's Playroom is it's a free game that shipped with the PS5. This is not Astro Bot. This is not the Game of the Year 2024 game. This is its predecessor. Smaller in scale, smaller in ambition, I would assume, from some of the stuff I've seen from Astro Bot. Astro's Playroom shipped with the PS5. It's your introduction to the console. You get some history on the brand. You get to test out every little feature present on that controller. And god damn, it's good. It's so tight. I love that it's tight. I love that it's like a 5-hour completion. It's so... I don't know if there's a word to use besides lovely. You just feel happy when you're playing it. Like, and I'm not even, I don't know, I really don't know anything about, PlayStation, This is just like looking at the game as it is. This is no nostalgia. This is no, oh, I saw a reference to thing I like, and I like that, so I like Astro. No, Astro's just good as hell. It's really good. And I cannot wait to get my hands on Astrobot and see Astro's Playroom realized in a larger scale, bigger budget, even more tight, even more refined experience. I'm really excited to eventually play Astrobot. It was a surprise bit of joy. It's lovely. It's so good. And I'm glad that it was also kind of overlooked, right? Like, not, I feel like a lot of the people that played Astro's Playroom were like, yo, this shit was pretty cool, man. But I think a lot of people kind of neglected it. They were just like, oh, it's some free, shit that came with my PlayStation. Who cares? And so I'm glad that Astrobot came out as a game and got its flowers. I love it. I can't wait to play Astrobot and to see the future of that series. Better than Animal Well? Yeah. I think Animal Well is more unique with its presentation and everything, but Astro is just an extremely tight, even if, somewhat basic and formulaic 3D platformer. Like Astro Playroom, I mean, even then, like, it's doing a lot of gimmicks with its controller that you're not really going to get much elsewhere, right? I don't really care about that. That's not bumping it up for me. But I think Astro is just extremely well made, extremely fun. I don't know. I haven't seen that stat, Rixor, but I believe it. I would definitely believe it. Where do we go now? Balatro! I don't know how to rank Balatro. Because I'm like 30-something hours into Balatro, and I feel like, I've just started my journey, basically. Balatro is a game. It's a roguelike. It's a deck-building roguelike with a poker aesthetic. And it released and it was successful, right? It released and it hit the audience it wanted to hit. And it was a success. It was highly regarded in its area. And then, boom, it got nominated for Game of the Year. And that just, like, launched Balatro to the stratosphere. All of a sudden, Balatro memes. So many people who wouldn't have normally checked out a game like this are checking it out. It went viral with that, It went viral with that Game of the Year nomination. And I'm so glad for it, because I really can't think of a game more deserving of it. One guy made it. Hired a guy off Fiverr to do the OST. And now everything related to the soundtrack, profit-wise, goes to the guy who he hired off Fiverr to make the OST, by the way. Which is very, very cool of Local Funk, the creator. It's just a wild success story. It's wildly deserving of it. If you describe the game, it sounds boring. I didn't play this for a long time. Actually, let me talk about how I played Balatro. I'd heard about it, Northern Lions playing it. I saw it. I was like, those are nice sounds, but I don't give a fuck about poker. I don't care about this. That was my reaction. I enjoyed the sounds and I guess the visual aesthetic, but I was like, I just don't care. It's poker. I don't care about poker. My friend was like, BFL, play Balatro. I was like, I don't care. I don't care. And then the one streamer that I hate watch, DSP Gaming, played Balatro. And I saw this guy run the tutorial. And I was like, oh, it's very basic and simple. I would have never watched someone just give Balatro a normal chance. But because I'm a dedicated hate watcher, I saw someone run that shit, and I was like, oh, it looks easy. This guy can do it. So then I went home and I bought it, and I was hooked instantly. It's S tier. It's a staple deck-building roguelike at this point in time. I see it being very popular for years to come. I don't know if it's going to hit the level of relevance or, acclaim as something like Slay the Spire. I think it's a little too early in its lifetime to declare that. But it's great. There's a big free content update coming early 2025. I can't wait to play it. It's definitely better than Another Crab's Treasure. Does it touch these Zeldas? I think it depends on how I feel that day, to be honest. Balatro can be pretty brutal when you get onto the higher difficulties. And, maybe there's... I think Rixor has mentioned having some issues with the balance. I don't know if it's an issue as much as it's just meant to be really tough. I think it's a great game. I'm going to keep it just below the Zeldas right now. You can't believe I bought it because of the SP? You like Balatro, but you don't think it has the staying power of Slay the Spire? It's much more simple, which I don't think is bad. They're games with very different goals, right? Like Slay the Spire. We have Slay the Spire to thank for all of the, all of the card deck building roguelikes, right? It launched that subgenre to the stratosphere, which doesn't like, oh, because it did this and now others are copying or, jacking its swag, that means it's better. I'm not saying that, but that's just speaking to the significance of Slay the Spire. Slay the Spire is something very unique and special. Balatro is a game you could sell your dad on. Exactly, yeah. I think Balatro is a very... I've seen this very much on social media. On Blue Sky, I keep getting fed these posts of people who like don't play video games playing Balatro and being like, yo, this shit is tight, actually. Balatro is great. I think it's great. I'm very curious to see what the content updates do. I hope it doesn't... It's weird, man, these roguelikes, because, it could go the way of Isaac and just add too much and become bloated, I'm very curious to see where Balatro goes and its future. For art direction. See, Sam Ray, Slay the Spire. You're not saying that for Balatro. I would fight you if you said that on Balatro. I like Slay the Spire's amateurish art direction. Something about it's homely to me and charming. It makes me comfortable. I love the art direction for Slay the Spire, actually, a lot. And I've actually seen that mentioned recently, where people, when talking about Slay the Spire 2, are really admiring the fact that they managed to keep that same art style that was widely criticized. People didn't really love it. And somehow made it work in Slay the Spire 2. Slay the Spire 2 is much prettier. It's almost like uncanny when you see it in action. You're like, whoa, what the hell? Because it looks so familiar, but so much, so different, I really appreciate Slay the Spire's art. The game becomes less fun the higher you go on stakes. This was something for me with Balatro as well. I was climbing with a particular deck. I was getting up to like the highest difficulty, and I was like, maybe this shit's not fun, bro. I was having a lot of fun, but this shit is, I don't know, Balatro, bro. And then I went down to some lower stakes on some other decks, and I was pulled back in. I think the thing is, you don't have to do those higher difficulties. For me on Slay the Spire, by the way, I never beat A20. I think I got up to like Ascension 13 or something like that. Maybe I have 3 different, save files for Slay the Spire across different systems, so I'd have to check. But I'm probably never going to beat the highest difficulty with every deck on Balatro, and I'm okay with that. I think it's lovely. I think it's totally fine and fun to go for high scores on lower stakes, and if you want that extra challenge, I think that the higher stakes give it to you, and it's cool. And I'm gonna blow my nose once again. Balatro clone on non-poker card games. I did see a game called Dungeons and Degenerate Gamblers, and I was like, hey, it's blackjack. I was like, oh, yo, I don't like poker, but blackjack's simple. I like blackjack. Maybe I'll check that out. And then I saw gameplay of it, and it looked not that fun to me, actually, unfortunately. So I never picked it up. Not dissing Dungeons and Degenerate Gamblers, it might be hype, but it just didn't look especially fun to me. Baldur's Gate 3. I'm officially gonna just slam this one in no rank. I haven't beat it. I'm approximately 2/3 through the game, maybe. Probably gonna be playing it for a few more months. Big ass beefy game. So much voice dialogue. It's kind of insane. So many cutscenes, so many variables. If you do this 30 hours ago, it affects this. If you did this and this and this and this, it affects this. There's so many conditions for what you can do in this game. That having like 2 playthroughs that are identical with all... It's got to be hard as hell, bruh. It's got to be hard as hell. The combat, lovely. Fantastic turn-based combat. Just, it was hard for me to get into. I never played a CRPG like this. This is my first experience. And I think Ark said I shot myself in the foot by playing the best one first. Maybe true. Because damn is it good. The characters are good. The writing is good. The voice acting is good. The music is good. The combat is good. Exploration, good. The set pieces, good. No fight is the same. There are no just mindless mobs in this game. Every fight in this game is intricately designed. The characters that you're fighting have names, have stats, have unique abilities. They're placed in the world with intent. Everything is intentional. It's maybe one of the best games ever. It's kind of insane. The thing is, I've actually heard some people aren't that crazy about Act 3. It's 3 acts in this game. I'm on the tail end of Act 2 in my playthrough. I've heard some people say Act 3 not so tight. So I'm really curious to get there myself and see how I feel about that. You adore the traveling companions? Oh, okay. Hold on. Baldur's Gate 3 may be your favorite game ever. You adore it. Currently on 4th or 5th playthrough. Can't blaze it enough. Can't rate it fairly because bald in the name. Adore the traveling companions. Yeah, it's great. The upload that went up recently, so Baldur's Gate 3, it's got consistently good writing at all times, you know. But every few hours or so, I'll just find a moment with my companions at my camp where I am just floored and get like really emotionally impacted by something that's going on with like so much consistency. Like I've almost teared up several times playing that game. It is emotionally resonant. It's fun. Like I can't get over the gameplay enough. It's so good. It's some of my favorite turn-based gameplay. It's so fun. It's so fun. It's so good. I mean, everyone knows Baldur's Gate 3 is amazing. You've heard it a million times. Not this year, not last year, but the year before. I'm late to the party, but the hype is real, and I'm glad that I decided to check it out even if I was late. Replayability is insane. I know! I can't wait to do that in my own time at some point. Let's start with Portal. I played Still Alive on the Xbox 360. I don't know if how much that changes stuff. I know that there's like some extra levels in the Still Alive version, I think. Like some arcade versions. Arcade levels, like with time trials and shit. I think that's unique to this. I don't know. Portal's great. I came into Portal like low-key, like a little bit of a hater. I was like, it's the Reddit game. And then I was just met with a game. Yeah, the writing's a little bit Reddit. But why is it Reddit? Because Reddit took it from this game. More so Portal 2, but it starts with Portal. The writing is crazy good. If it is ever eye-rolling, it's because you heard someone who thought it was funny and ruined the joke. It's not because any of the writing is bad in itself. It's all good. It's all great. all delivered with great voice acting. It's good puzzles. It's short. It's concise. It's lovely. Portal is S tier. It's better than Balatro? Maybe not. Portal 2 is Portal again. It's Portal again, but it's a little bit different. There's more of an emphasis on story here. There's a lot more dialogue. There's a lot more narrative, and it's all good. It's all really good. There's some extra characters. They're good characters. GLaDOS is still here. Yeah, about GLaDOS. GLaDOS will always be that girl. GLaDOS, like, looking at the characters in the games that I played this year, Yakuza and Final Fantasy have great characters, don't get me wrong, but GLaDOS and Francis York Morgan from Deadly Premonition stand out as like two of the greatest characters of all time, probably. Final Fantasy VII and Yakuza are like also amazing, but they're like just below. They're just below. No diss on Final Fantasy or Yakuza. They're great, but Francis York Morgan and GLaDOS are so amazing. They're amazing characters that I can't stop thinking about. And they just live in my brain rent-free. Don't get me wrong. These games also have characters that live in my brain rent-free. It's just Francis York Morgan and GLaDOS are just like top of the line, bruh. You need them to interact? Bro, that would be a crazy interaction. GLaDOS just like hitting Francis York Morgan with these like sarcastic these sarcastic, like just jaded comments, and York like not picking up on the sarcasm at all, and and hitting her with like very matter-of-fact responses. Oh my god, it would be legendary. That would be so good. That's something I never knew I needed. That's something I didn't know I needed. Anyways, yeah, Portal is great. Portal 2 is greater. Longer. I beat Portal 2 in one sitting. It was a long ass stream. Wasn't that like a 8-something hour stream? If I'm going that long, there are two options. It's either I really don't like what I'm playing, but I'm at the end and I want to finish it, or it's like I'm playing some Kino. In the case of Portal 2, it's Kino. It's Kino. It's so good. Also, Portal, I don't quite remember the music from Portal 1. Obviously, there's like the iconic end credits theme. But Portal 2, I don't believe this was in the first Portal, introduces a lot of like this reactive music that is like playing based on what you're doing in the puzzle, the mechanics you're interacting with. That wasn't in the first one, right? Yeah, plus there's a whole co-op campaign for Portal 2, which I didn't touch, which I'm sure is probably good. Is the reactive music new to Portal 2? I don't remember. Anyways, Portal 2 is fantastic. I do think that there is an argument to be made for Portal 1 being better than Portal 2. And I do think it comes down to preference because they are very different. Portal 1 is a very tight puzzle game that has a little bit of a radical shift. Portal 2 is living, you know, without getting into spoilers, Portal 2 is post that. And it's a little less tight, a little bit more emphasis on narrative. And I think it's just a little bit about where, you know, a little bit more of a walking sim element in Portal 2. Not, I wouldn't say it's a walking sim, but there are some stretches where you're just kind of walking around. So if that's not super your jam, I could see you maybe disliking that, but they don't overstay their welcome. I love Portal 2. I think it's better than Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. Is it better than Dark Souls? There's definitely an argument to be made for that. But personally, I would give the edge out to Dark Souls there. Portal 2 shines because of Portal 1 the same way Tears of the Kingdom shines because of Breath of the Wild. Well, Tears of the Kingdom might be worse because Breath of the Wild, in my opinion. In several people's opinion, but I understand what you're saying 100%, Danny. All right, see you, Waifu Warrior. Thank you for hanging. Because we talked about Portal, I think it's fair to talk about Superliminal. I think isn't Portal like a game where it's like pretty much every first-person puzzle game that came after it is like directly biting off of it, right? Superliminal is a lovely, short, tighter experience. I think it was about 4 hours for me, right? Something like that. Where instead of shooting portal guns, you are playing with perspective. And it's really weird. It's really hard to wrap your head around it at the beginning. Like if you hold an apple in front of your face, like here's how Superliminal works. If there's an apple in the distance, you can pick it up from where you are, and it will be very tiny because it's so far away. That is just now the size of the apple, and you can drop it on the ground in front of you, and it's that big. But if you pick up the apple and put it in front of your face, and then drop it, then the apple is huge. It's filling the whole room because of the perspective of it. When you release it, it stays that. And that is the core element of Superliminal. It's very satisfying. I think it's very fun to play around with. I do think that there are a couple moments where it's not quite clear what you're supposed to do. This might just be a me issue. There was like one moment where like I had literally no fucking clue what I was supposed to do. It's also got a little bit of the narrative stuff going on with Portal. Or not like Portal in its own right. That is it's different. It's interesting. It's exciting. I don't think from a puzzle element it's as strong as Portal. I do think its gimmick is, you know, it's a little more unique than Portal, and I think it handles it really well, but I don't think it takes it quite to its limits. It is a little bit harder on the narrative than it is the puzzles compared to something like Portal, and the narrative is fun, and I do enjoy it. I just really like the puzzles, and I would have liked to got a little bit more focus on them. That being said, there is like a hard mode where, or a challenge mode, I don't know quite what you want to call it, where you are challenged to beat this puzzle by changing the perspective of shapes X amount of times or less. I didn't really delve into that. Maybe if I had, that would have been really, really my jam. I didn't, admittedly. I think I did like one level, and I was like, oh, that's cool. But Superliminal is really solid. Better than Echoes of Wisdom. Huh. Where do we go now? Buckshot Roulette. Lovely. Simple. Such a simple game. Very basic premise. It's Russian roulette with a shotgun. And there are tools. There are tools that affect the gameplay. Very simple. Very short campaign. It's like an hour, but this game shines as a arcade game, going for high scores. Music, great. Visuals, very strong visual style. Gameplay, simple but sound and balanced. There's a lot of RNG here, obviously, but you know, there are elements to combat that, as well as you know, using the RNG in your favor. There's a degree of chance that's baked into the gameplay, and I think that that's fine. By the face, Samurai. Buckshot Roulette also did get a multiplayer update, which I admittedly have not played. But like I was saying, Buckshot Roulette really shines as like an arcade game going for high scores. That's, you know, where it really, really, really shines. Going as long as possible without dying as things get harder. It's lovely. I do think it's probably better than Echoes of Wisdom, to be honest. It's much simpler and less ambitious than Echoes of Wisdom, but it's very tightly knit and very, 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 very good. Damn, my throat is getting sore, bruh. This is a stream of just dedicated to yapping, you know? Maybe let's try and speed it up a little bit. Ooh, I'm in top chat. Get me out of there. Get me out of there. Rotato, game I never played on stream. It's like Vampire Survivors if Vampire Survivors was less of a slot machine and more of a video game. It's wave-based. You're collecting currency and going into a shop between rounds. And for me, this is a preference thing. I love this way more than Vampire Survivors. Vampire Survivors, if I'm playing with audio, it's too overstimulating. It gives me a headache. Superliminal too gimmicky, in your opinion? That's fine. That's fine. You can disagree. Feel free to voice your opinions, whether you agree or disagree. Godot's Golden Child, yes. Rotato is my most played game of 2024, by the way. Far over 100 hours. I bought the DLC. This is like maybe the best bang for your buck video game ever. I think it's like $5, and then the DLC is like $3. It's so good. You're just a little potato guy, and you use weapons to kill the enemies that are coming at you in an arena. You buy items, and you buy more weapons, and you get stronger. And then there's 10 million enemies and just one you. And you go, and you go, and you go, and it gets harder and harder and harder. It's very simple, it's very basic, it's very good. It's very good. Rotato is lovely. It is S tier, and this is where we get a little crazy. I think Rotato is like better than Portal. Honestly, Rotato might be better. Is it better than Balatro? It might. Is it better than Zelda? Like, I love Rotato. I think it's so good. Is it better? I think it might be better than Balatro, which might be crazy. I think Rotato's so powerful. Also, music is really good. I love it. Very simple art style, but very appealing. It's so cute. I love it. I love the little potato fellas. It's just, it's one of those games where you're either going to really click with it or not like it. I've beaten like every character on the hardest difficulty several times. I'm addicted to Rotato, I would say. I think it's fantastic. How is it different than Gungeon? Have you played Vampire Survivors? Samurai? Because Rotato is... here's the basic layout of Rotato. You're in a square room. Nothing. It's blank. It's just a square. You spawn in the middle. Then enemies start to spawn. You have weapons that auto-attack. You can turn on manual aim, which situationally can be really valuable. But in most situations, the auto-attack is what you're going to want. Your weapons automatically swing, have an automatic cooldown. You clear the wave, you collect your resources, being money and experience. You level up, you hit the shop. You build based on the attributes of your character towards what you want. There are like 100 different characters, each with different strengths, different weaknesses, all very unique, that play very differently. The gameplay, what the game boils down to is avoiding the enemies through, your movement and stat management. You win this game. You don't win this game by dodging attacks. It will fill to the point where you cannot dodge every enemy. This game is primarily stat management. Knowing what items are good for you in your unique situation, finding them, and getting them, and building upon them. Knowing what sacrifices to make. Like, I can sacrifice HP for damage. Doing this makes me a glass cannon. That means I need to dodge a little bit better. But there will be less enemies on my ass 24/7 that I need to deal with because of this. Like, it's making sacrifices, knowing it's a knowledge-based game. You play it, you learn what works, you get better. It's very satisfying. You're not going room to room. You're just surviving in an arena. Have I played Nova Drift? I don't know if I've heard of it. Asteroids roguelike. Interesting. Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. We just beat this one. There's like 15 more bonus levels or something. This is a comfort game. I think this game is really, really sick. I think it's a very low stakes, very slow paced, comfortable puzzle game that is very happy. It's satisfying. You're just plodding around, doing the puzzle, finding the collectibles, clearing the level. And it's lovely as that. However, there's a lot else going on here. There's if you're just playing the game like a normal person, it's like a 10-hour game. But this game is filled with content that is rewarding. You have like these optional challenges to clear every level. You have these Pixel Toad hide and seeks for every level. You have time trials for every level. To 100% this game, you're putting a lot more time into it. It's very packed, and if that's something that you value, then you should go for it. If that's not something that's super your jam, it's 100% optional. It's lovely. I love it. A tier. Where else do we go? How about we do some Mario RPGs? Huh? I do think I might bump Echoes of Wisdom down to B tier. And I think we this all right, now it's hot. I think Ocarina does get bumped to top of C. I'm sorry. I'm just looking at what's coming up. And that feels like where we're going. Are you yassing for bumping down Ocarina or bumping down Echoes? What's yassing, Danny? What is yass about what just happened? Mario and Luigi Brothership. Weirder game that released this year. It was very talked about before its release, and then it came out and nobody talked about it. It got a pretty critical review by a reviewer for IGN that everybody dunked on before they played it. 5 out of 10, Mario and Luigi Brothership? What the hell? How could it be 5 out of 10? And then nobody bought it. And then nobody talked about it after it released. And then the people that did play it were like, yeah, it's actually not that good. I do think it was pretty good. I do think it also has some major flaws, though. I don't agree that it's a 5 out of 10, but when you look at some of the guy's complaints, he's kind of spitting on some stuff. Some stuff, not so much. I do think that the game is funny and charming, and I like the characters. That's one of his criticisms, but you look at his track record on reviews, and, like, it's not like he's a Nintendo hater, a Mario hater. It's not like he's just giving everything low scores or anything. Like, he's, you know, a person with an opinion, and I think a lot of the hate on that guy kind of unfounded. That's just me. Oh yeah, Mario RPGs? Okay. Mario and Luigi is my first, or Brothership, sorry, is my first Mario and Luigi. So I don't really have the context of the rest of the series to rank it. It is a good RPG that I do believe I played in the wrong formula. I think that, or wrong format. I think that this game is kind of built, it's, you know, a follow-up to a handheld series. I think it is designed a bit like a handheld game. And I didn't play it in that manner. Now, that's not the only handheld game that I didn't really play in the intended manner. But with Mario and Luigi, I do think it worsened that impact a little bit. I think if you it felt that impact a bit more. I mean, if you play Mario and Luigi for like 2 hours a day, I think you're gonna love it the entire way through. For me, playing these, big binge sessions once a week, that shit was long. That shit was very long. And it's not like there are stretches of the game where I don't like the game. It's just very long. I saw a lot of people saying poor pacing at the beginning. And I was like, I don't agree. I like the pacing at the beginning. I did like the pacing at the beginning. And then the game kind of just kept that pacing the whole time. And then by the time I was at the end, I was like, God damn, this game is long. It's 50 hours. I played a lot of these games for, 50 hours. Final Fantasy VII Remake, I put like almost 80 hours in that, I think. And, only like 40 of that was my first playthrough. Or maybe it was 60 hours. But Mario and Luigi is a good game with great combat, with some pretty strong characters and a fine story that suffers from some pretty bad pacing issues, suffers from performance, which is also something Echoes of Wisdom suffers from. I don't think I mentioned that, but it's a late era Switch game, so unfortunately that's a given. I think it's oozing with charm. And I liked it. And I'll probably play it again one day. But it's not great. I think A tier up is great. B tier is good. C tier is like mid, and then like we're getting to like bad. And honestly, Plucky Squire goes down to D. And so does Adventure Time. We've got our framework now. We're actually working with, like, I think we're building what the tiers mean to us. Yeah. I like Mario and Luigi. If you like Mario, you should probably play it. But it's not amazing. It's a satisfactory experience. Paper Mario and the Thousand-Year Door, however, now that's an RPG. Now that's a pretty good game. I don't think the combat's as good as Mario and Luigi. I don't think the exploration is as good as Mario and Luigi's. I do think that the character and writing is out of the world compared to Mario RPG. I like the characters and the writing in Mario and Luigi Brothership, but maybe if you're looking at it in the context of some of these other Mario RPGs, not that I'm very, experienced in that franchise, maybe it does stand out as especially bad, because Paper Mario and the Thousand-Year Door is kind of a mucho texto game. Like, there's a lot of dialogue in this game. In fact, there are even some chapters that are almost primarily dialogue. And if it wasn't good, that shit would be boring and lame. But it's great. So many good characters, so much good dialogue. The combat is it's good turn-based RPG combat, I would say. Fun bosses. Really good story. There is a thing that I don't like about this game, and it is also related to the pacing. Every chapter in the game, of which there's what, like 9, 10? Mario YouTuber suicide? Sorry, bruh. Hey, I'm not glazing shit, bruh. Old game. I'm thinking it's the best game ever. Fuck that, bruh. Wait, is that where I had it? Shit. Yeah, that's right, I think. Okay. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. Every chapter of Paper Mario is, like, bookended with 2 sections where you're not playing Mario. And while those sections in a vacuum are not bad, they are almost always less good than playing the Mario. So it's really disheartening every time you beat a boss. And it's like, now you have to go look at this stuff that you don't care about as much for 30 minutes now. Yes, you beat the boss, triumphant moment. Pull out of the situation. You're not there no more. You're living in the high of defeating that boss, wrapping up the story there. No more. You don't get to linger in it. You're going elsewhere now, bud. And again, the places that you get dropped into after those bosses are fine in a vacuum. It's just the frequency of it and the length of them and the placement of them really, really was just like, oh, it was like, oh my god, I have to go see what Bowser's doing again. And then you see Bowser's Little Adventure and you're like, it's fun, I guess, but I just really wish I was with Mario right now, you know? I think that this is a hot take. We discussed this a little bit when I was streaming it, but it's just something that really stuck with me, and I have maintained that feeling, unfortunately. Fair take, even if you disagree. Zelda snipers incoming, oh no. But all that aside, Mario and or Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door HD is what I played. Is fantastic. It's here, and Tunic goes down to A. Yes. Is it? It's probably better than Another Crab's Treasure. Yeah. Muse Dash. Muse Dash is a rhythm game with anime girls and a lot of music. Like I mean it's a Chinese game, I think, and it's pretty, I think it's like got a decent fan base. Like it kind of spawned some memes from it with some of the character animations. I didn't play it very much this year, so I'm gonna just drop it in the no rank. The bulk of my time spent on this game was like a few years ago. I played a decent amount of it. And I think Muse Dash is pretty solid. I think there are really good songs on it. I think it's really fun. I'm also really bad at it because I'm really bad at rhythm games. You could also place Project Diva here. I played a little bit of that on the tail end of 2024. I'm also really bad at that, but I really like it. Muse Dash rules. Yeah, I don't think I really talked about it much. Muse Dash is really good. It's very satisfying. It's simple. It's a 2-button rhythm game. I think it's on mobile. I played it on Steam. There's like an upper lane and a lower lane. Really good. I recommend it. It's cheap, probably, right? Probably pretty cheap. Princess Peach Showtime. I really enjoyed it when I played it. But I think it was because of the circumstances of when I was playing it. When I played Princess Peach Showtime, I was balls deep in Zelda and Final Fantasy in the Zelda series. Sorry. I was balls deep in the Zelda series. I was knee deep. Let's change it. I was knee deep in the Legend of Zelda franchise, as well as pretty deep into Final Fantasy VII OG. And these are games with a lot of history, a lot of legacy, a lot of importance, and very big, beefy games. So I got Princess Peach Showtime, which is a very simple game. And I appreciated that simplicity. I appreciated the basic nature of this game. You're Peach, and you get these costumes, and they give you different abilities, and you do these, relatively short levels, a few times for each costume. And it's fun, it's pretty, it's colorful, it's got performance issues, which is kind of ridiculous. Like Mario and Luigi, Echoes of Wisdom, they shouldn't have performance issues, but I can see why they would. What the hell is going on in Princess Peach Showtime, right? Wasn't it made in Unreal? Is Unreal like not super compatible with Switch or something? But I really appreciated Princess Peach Showtime for what it was when I played it, in the context of when I played it. Something about a coconut tree, I don't know, right? But as I became removed from it, its simplicity became a little less charming and a little more disappointing. I think that this is a great game for children, and I enjoyed the time I spent with it, but it does leave me pretty disappointed, I would say. I don't regret buying it. I don't regret playing it. I just wish it had been better. I hope that it gets a sequel, and I hope the sequel is 3 times as good. I think that's where I land on that. You think that the studio might not be the best at optimizing 3D games? Most of the performance issues in Princess Peach Showtime, it's like, whatever. Like, I didn't really care that much. When it got to me was when I got to the final boss, which is a spectacle boss, and the shit runs like garbage. It made what should have been an epic and cool moment, a great send-off to this game and some of the characters in it, made what should have been tight as hell just like really fucking lame. Like I'm playing it and I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool, but I'm like, damn, this shit's like 20 frames right now, 20 frames per second right now. Not exciting. Very disappointing. Very, very disappointing. I would love to see more though. I would love to see more. Echoes of Wisdom and Princess Peach Showtime are both like kind of disappointing outings for like, you know, female-led games from Nintendo this year. I don't know really the sales on each, but I hope that no one is receiving the message that gamers don't want female characters. And that is not it. I think that they are both just disappointing in different ways. Echoes of Wisdom is way better? Yeah, definitely. Echoes of Wisdom is a good game. Princess Peach Showtime is like maybe definition of mid. Another good game is Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. I mentioned it, I think, on my last stream. I think that this game is kind of what we need more of. I think it's great. You're Indiana Jones, you're action adventuring, you're stealthing, you're solving puzzles, you're cracking safes. There's a lot of safes in this game where you need to, like, you know, use the environment to find codes and crack them, or use some kind of cipher. A lot of safes. Indiana Jones is, you know, it's based on IP, obviously, and it's an IP-based game that perhaps understands the source material better than maybe any other IP-based game I played. If you take the cutscenes out of it and, you know, put them on their own, it's like maybe one of the best Indiana Jones movies. So many memorable cutscenes, so many crazy set pieces, and that's just the cutscenes. Then you get in the gameplay, and you're in those set pieces, playing, fighting, swinging around on your whip like you're Spider-Man, climbing up walls, you know, stealthing through, for example, this was in a trailer, so it's fine to say, a battleship, a Nazi battleship that has been somehow placed on the top of, like, the Himalayan mountains. How did it get there? I don't know. Figure it out. Climb in that thing. Stealth around in there. You know, do some stealth takedowns on some Nazis. Read some paperwork. Figure out how it got here. Crack some safes. Take some Nazi gold. You know, so fun. So many great set pieces. The bad thing about this game, and also the good thing. The AI, man. The AI is like a blessing and a curse. The AI is weird in that it like is bad and you can toy around with it and have fun with it in that way. Which is fun for a while, but then after a while you're like, damn, I kind of wish it was like actually good. But then by the time you get to the end of the game, the enemies are really strong. And a lot of them have guns. And if you alert them, they will just all turn and shoot you, and bullets do a lot of damage in this game. And they will just laser you down with rifles instantly. It's kind of insane. So the AI balancing is really weird. Sometimes you have fun with it. Sometimes it's like hell on earth. That's the biggest issue, I would say. Sometimes you like the shitty AI, sometimes you don't. Also, there are 3 like open sandbox, like small sandbox areas that like take up the bulk of this game. They are not all created equal. That's all I'll say on that. Also, the ending is like kind of underwhelming compared to how good so much of everything else in this game is. Like, the ending climax doesn't even reach close to some of the crazy shit that you're doing in the second act. It's kind of weird. Kind of weird. Great game. I would love to see more games like this. I don't necessarily care about the Indiana Jones branding. However, they did use that to great effect. But just more, games of this size, of this, content variety. Would love them. Love it. Great game. Wait till you see the Sekiro AI. Oh boy. Well, I'm definitely doing another FromSoft this year. Whether that's going to be Dark Souls 2, Demon Souls, Sekiro, or Bloodborne. A poll will probably decide. And it's probably not going to be Dark Souls 2, because people don't like that. Indiana Jones is definitely A tier. Also, I think Superliminal is not as good as Buckshot Roulette. Where is Indiana Jones? Is it better than Astro's Playroom? And A Link to the Past? It's probably not better than A Link to the Past, but I do think I like it more. So we're just going to edge it up over here. Astro is definitely better, though. Ark's Baby. Wonder Song. Oh shit, not after you. Wonder Song. It's a narrative platformer with an emphasis on music. It's got lovely music. It's got a lovely little art style. It's got a lovely little narrative with some great characters going on with it too. Not too much to say about this one without just spoiling it, basically. If you think you'll like this kind of game, you'll probably like it. It's got a very dedicated but small fandom. And I will say this, I really liked it. It didn't quite resonate with me as hard as it did with people in that fandom. That's really all there is to say. I don't really have a ton to say about Wonder Song. I'm glad that I played it. Bottom of B. Pikmin 2. It's Pikmin again. It's Pikmin, but Pikmin 2. And it's also like basically a completely different game than Pikmin 2. Or Pikmin 1. What? They changed the format up a lot. And I don't think I like that format change as much, to be honest. Let me blow my nose real quick. Music loop ends. Yeah, I don't like that. I don't love the. I gotta blow my nose again. What the hell, bro? What the hell? All right. Hopefully we're good now. Pikmin 2 switched to a cave system, which are these dungeons that you go into. That's a big focus of Pikmin 2. It's not not quite as satisfying as the overworld exploration of Pikmin 1 to me. But I'm glad that it made that change because it made Pikmin 2 a very different game than Pikmin 1. And while it's not a game that I like as much, I like that they are different because it gives me a reason to replay both of them to get very different experiences. I think that the caves are not the tightest made. I think that there is an over-reliance on shit falling out of the sky that can be countered by you simply running through the entire map as soon as you spawn in alone. And it's like, okay, well, all the traps are now disarmed. Done at no risk, but my time is wasted. It's weird. It's weird. There are some weird decisions made here. It's like simultaneously brutally difficult, but also you can just do some inconvenient things to alleviate all of the challenge. It's really odd, some of the stuff going on in Pikmin 2. Still lovely. I like it quite a bit. Did I ever see Louis' Dark Secret video? Yeah, I think we watched it on the end of the stream. Anyways, Pikmin 2 is an A-tier game. Better than Ocarina or Link to the Past. Yeah. It's A-tier. I think I had Pikmin 1 in S-tier probably. Pikmin 2 is A-tier. Not as good. It's still really good. I like it a lot. Peglin! It's Peggle, but if Peggle was a roguelike. It's really good. I don't think I've actually played the full release. It came out of early access this year. I don't think I've played. I think I might have booted it up once since then off stream. It's lovely. I don't know if this has changed since I played it, but last I played it, Peglin, its biggest issue was there didn't feel like there was an appropriate amount of, or a appeasing amount of build variety. It felt like there were builds that worked and you would do those builds. And those builds were fun, but it did feel like, okay, we could be doing a bit more here, you know? Also, Superliminal is going down into B. And I think Mario and Luigi and those are better. Yeah. Peglin is probably also B, and it goes at the top of B. I think Peglin's really strong. It just, you would love to see more variety, but because of the gameplay that it is, where you're kind of launching a ball at pegs, I can kind of understand why it may be a bit lacking in the build department. Silent Hill: The Short Message. Pikmin 2 worse, but still good. Silent Hill: The Short Message is a game that I enjoyed, but it is bad. It's a short 3-hour experience that is largely walking sim with a few sequences of monster chasing you scary sequence that are kind of labyrinth. They're kind of just like a game of Pac-Man where you avoid the ghost. It has a message that is well-meaning, but is maybe one of the most offensive things I've ever seen in my life. It deals with themes of suicide, and it does not do them well. There are several scenes in the game where I am laughing at the character that is going through bad things, and it's not because I'm some evil little weirdo, it's because the game is not written very well. This game isn't as bad as I think it was getting. I think it has strengths. I think it has lovely little environments. I think it has really cool music. And it is fun to walk through this little scary path. That being said, the fun I had with that wasn't that much fun. It's bad. It's bad, but I also think it's overhated. But still bad. What's good, Kopi? Did I say that already? Oh, you got a haircut? Nice. Silent Hill versus Life is Strange 2, which is more offensive. Well, Life is Strange 2 is longer. It made me more mad. Like, Silent Hill, the short message, I could laugh at it. Whereas, like, Life is Strange 2 is like, yeah, the country of Mexico is a crime-ridden wasteland of destruction, and if you go there, you will become a gangster. I was like, what? What? The Mexican people who are leaving Mexico are saying, yeah, Mexico is evil, man. It sucks there. And you're like, well, I mean, that's, you know, their perspective. They're trying to get away from there. And then you go there and it's like, nope, you became an evil gangster and you wear all black now to show that you were evil. Whereas if you don't go to Mexico, you wear white to show that you were good. What? Brother, Life is Strange 2 is crazy. Cherry Blossom Monster is a cool design. Yeah. I don't hate Silent Hill 2. It's ranked really low because it's bad, but I don't hate that game. Or, why did I say Silent Hill 2? Stop. Silent Hill, the short message. I haven't played Silent Hill 2. Life is Strange True Colors is a weird one. I like some of the characters going on here. And then, I love the music, obviously. I like the visuals. And then the ending just kind of comes. No, you're right. You're right, Gabat. Nameless Kingdom was better. The ending for Life is Strange True Colors just kind of comes. It just kind of happens, and it's like, oh. Ending felt very rushed to me. It kind of took the wind out of my sails on some of the stuff that I liked going on here. And not to give any spoilers, but I don't know if my game was bugged. I don't know if the developers had an oversight, but there was a character who I was nothing but kind to, and when the game comes to an end, it's treated as if I completely abandoned this person and told them to go eat shit and kick rocks and cut them out of my life. And I'm like, why did that happen? Nothing I did in the game should make that happen. Did the game not account for the decisions that I made? Did I get a glitch? Or does it just not make any sense? I don't know why that happened. It legitimately confused me. And it's, quite frankly, the only thing I can think about, not the only thing, it's the major staying point is why the hell did that happen at the end of the game? That shouldn't have happened. There are some great sequences going on in this one. I like the gimmick of your superpower is being an empath and being able to feel emotions, being able to interact with people's emotions and some of the implications of that. I think that there are some really cool moral conundrums in this one. And I think Alex has a really cool backstory, and the sequence where it's like Orphan Simulator are pretty funny. I think it's kind of funny conceptually, but I think it's handled well in game and emotionally resonant. Isn't there like a part of the game where the objective is like relive your like the death of your mother or something, or like relive being an orphan at the orphanage or something? There's like there's a sequence where it's like like the objective is like re-experience the domestic violence of your home or something. Like it's like something outrageous, and I was like, what? Relive life as an orphan? Is that what it was? Yeah, it's crazy. yeah, Life is Strange True Colors is a lovely experience that just isn't quite as tight, and especially when it comes to the ending. And when you look at other Life is Strange games that really aren't that great around the ending, before the storm, I don't think True Colors quite hits the heights of that leading up to the ending, but I still think it is good. It's just not my favorite. Where would I put you here? Maybe below Brothers? Below Peglin? It could go above Peglin, but we'll put it there for right now. I liked it. The anger management guy, yeah, there is a reoccurring bald NPC that is lovely. Okay, so, like, let's just get rid of that. Nothing is going in F tier. I played no F tier games, I guess, this year. Like, F tier has to be pretty bad, right? Plucky Squire might be better than Silent Hill. I don't really care, though. Silent Hill made me laugh at sensitive subjects, which personally I value pretty highly, so I'll put it over Plucky Squire. I like laughing at poorly written things, especially if they handle sensitive subjects. A little uncomfortable to do on stream. I'm kind of just saving Final Fantasy for last, I guess, at this point. I didn't start with that in mind, but we're just kind of finding ourselves at that point. Where do we go here? Hades. Hades is a good one. This was, I think, my second most played this game this year. It was like 80 to 100 hours. Played a shit ton of Hades. Great writing. Great character design. A lot of written dialogue. Like I talked about it with Baldur's Gate 3. Hades is up there with it. It's kind of insane how much dialogue there is in this game. Unique dialogue. Unique voice dialogue. Fun little stories, but the bulk of what Hades is its gameplay. Its gameplay is good. It's a roguelike, action roguelike, pretty basic. You get these boons from gods to power up your runs, and it's fun. And I think it suffers from something. I think that for the first, I played this game for the bulk of my playtime off stream. Obviously, I beat the main story on stream, and then I completed it off stream. Or I beat the main story, and then I completed the game 100% off stream. Hades, after you spend enough time with it, I think it does run into an issue of build variety. A lot of your runs end up feeling kind of samey. And the runs are still fun because the gameplay is fun, but it's really easy to get guaranteed drops of what you want. The game gives you mechanics for that, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's cool that you get the ability to get the build that you want semi-consistently. What I do think is kind of disappointing is a lot of the abilities don't feel that different. Like, this one does like 80% damage buff, yay, and it makes them like 20% slower, cool. Well, this one does 80% damage buff, and it also makes them do a little less damage to you. A lot of the buffs don't feel that different. Some of them do, and there are these combo boons that are like pretty rare and hard to get that can like really lead to some interesting interactions. But a lot of the boons just like don't feel different enough. So a lot of your runs do feel samey. I think the game counteracts this by giving you a large variety of weapons. I think there's like pushing close to 20 weapons in this game, or 20 weapon varieties. Some of the weapon varieties are wildly different. And I think that does change things up a bit. It just, when you're putting serious time into this game, which is required to like wrap up all the side quests, like 100 hours for some of these side quests, it's kind of crazy. When you're at that point, you do start to feel it. However, if you just run the main story, Hades is baller. And also, I liked it a lot. Like, when I beat the main story, it feels like I was just getting started combat-wise, compared to, you know, where I ended up going, beating it. I still think it's good, but I do think that had to be mentioned. I don't think it's as good as Pikmin 2. Yeah, I'm definitely going to play Hades 2, for sure. In early access right now. I'll wait for the full release. I might check out Slay the Spire 2 early access. I don't know. I think I played 1 in early access, actually. It's kind of crazy. I was playing it on an old laptop that I never updated the drivers, and that shit was like 10 frames per second, and I was stoned out of my mind. The Quarry, it's a interactive movie game. It's Supermassive Games, right? And it's really good. This is my second run of it. I did drunk run actually this year. Last year I played it for Halloween, or in 2023 I played it for Halloween, mostly sober, and then I got drunk as hell on the last episode for some reason. I was just like, fuck it, character death, I drink, and then almost every character died, and I got wasted, and that was fun. So this time I was like, all right, let's do a run where we keep every character alive, and also we're going to be drunk the whole time. So my drunk Quarry streams were very fun. Very, very fun, because I think The Quarry is a really good game. A lot of people misunderstand this game, I feel. Oh, the writing is bad. The character, why do they act like that? This game is going for a campy 80s horror movie feel. I think it does it great. I love the characters for the most part. I love most of the characters going on in this. Two of them especially. Dylan and, oh god, what is Buff Jock's name? It's evading me. But Buff Jock and Gay Boy, they're my favorites. I love them so much, so much. The Quarry is lovely. I'll probably do a third playthrough at some point in my life. I probably won't stream it. I think it's great. I think it's really, really good. I've never played Until Dawn, so I can't compare it to that. I don't think it's quite as good as Hades, though. You wish there was more to the ending? That's pretty valid, yeah. It's got its problems, but I think it's a very strong experience regardless. Also, Brenda's song is silly in that game. Really good performances in general for the most part. Pepper Grinder. Pepper Grinder is a game I was really, really excited for. And it came out and it was really, really good. And I beat it and they changed it. Ooh, they changed the final boss. A lot of the appeal of this game was the final boss was really fucking hard. And then they changed it and made it like kind of baby mode. And I don't know how I feel about that. My ranking doesn't apply to the state of the game now. My ranking applies to the state of the game when it released. Anyways, Pepper Grinder is a 3-hour or so game. It's quite short with some replayability. There's some speedrun shit going on here. And the premise of the game is you're a loot or little pirate and you crash and these people steal all your gold. And so then you find a drill named Grinder, and you, as Pepper, use the drill to maneuver around the world. You dig through the earth and can make like these super jumps. You can drill through the water. You get these upgrades as you go through, like attachments for your drill. Very fun, very, 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 very satisfying movement. A little bit of difficulty, but not too much. Most of the difficulty comes in some of the combat sections. I really enjoyed the bosses. I really love the music, the vibe, the art style. Everything about it really underperformed. That was really sad to me. This game was really overlooked. A little bit of a hidden gem. I'm curious how that final boss is now. It's a shame that it got neutered like that. But I really enjoyed my time with Pepper Grinder, and I wish that it had found a little bit more of an audience than it did. I think it is bottom of A or top of B? Let's go bottom of A. Yakuza Kiwami! It's Yakuza. It's a remake of the first Yakuza. I played this having only played Yakuza 0. This game is no Yakuza 0. For better or worse, depending on your perspective, game is much, much, much more streamlined than Yakuza 0. Yakuza 0 is a massive game, so much to do in the world, and not only that, a big-ass main story. The main story in this game is way shorter, because the main story is a mostly faithful retelling of, like, a early PS2 game, right? So it's much more compact. I would say the story is also not quite as good because it is quite faithful, and I think that the writing of games has probably largely gotten better over the last 20 years. That being said, the story is still quite good. I got emotional a few times. There's a lot of a lot of things that I was not expecting to happen to characters that I had come to know over Yakuza 0. Yakuza 0 being a sequel made like 15 years prior to the release of this game. Kiryu is awesome. Majima is awesome. And Majima is in this game a lot. Maybe to its benefit and its detriment. The Majima Everywhere system is a system where Majima is constantly popping up, wanting to fight, and it's really cool, but it's also way too much. It's really poorly... It's a great feature that is really poorly implemented. That being said, Yakuza Kiwami is awesome. Love that story. Cannot wait to dig deeper into Yakuza. I love Haruka, the little girl. Early, mid PS2, so it's 2005. Okay. Is it better than Paper Mario? Maybe not. I'll say yes just because I like it. Paper Mario probably better, but I want to put Yakuza above it. I've heard Kiwami 2 is excellent, though, so I can't wait to get to that. Cuphead? It's like one of the best video games ever made. I don't know. It's really good. It's a run and gun shooter, couple levels, mostly bosses. It's really good. It's beautiful. It's got great animation, great music, great gameplay, good variety of potential builds, weapons, the DLC. It's really deep. A lot of new bosses with new gimmicks, great animations. It's fun. It's really hard. It's a lot of fun. I loved it. It's really good. It's probably not quite as good as Dark Souls for me. I would say it's probably better than Portal 2, though. Boo, 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 boo. Crow Country. The only survival horror games I played before Crow Country are Deadly Premonition, which does not count, and I played like 3 hours of The Evil Within in high school whenever that game came out, and I really liked it, but then I just stopped playing it, I think because it scared me, and I didn't really like playing scary games. But Crow Country is like a little bit more of a throwback kind of vibe, thinking like early Resident Evil, right? It's really good, and it's really concise. It's a really short game. I went for 100% on secrets and stuff in my playthrough. If I hadn't done that, it would have been about 4.5 hours to 5 hours. And that shortness is really in its favor. It's so tight. It's a small map with a little bit of non-linearity. Great visuals, great music, great story, great puzzles. Some of the secrets were a little bullshit, but they're cryptic secrets. They're allowed to be bullshit. I love it. I think it's like an instant classic for me. I cannot wait to play it again on a hard difficulty. I could see this is like I'm not a speedrun person. This is a game I could see myself like, hold up, speedrunning this shit would be kind of tight. I'll put it above Portal 1. Yeah, sure. That feels wrong because it's Portal, but that's what my gut said, so what we're gonna do. Let me chug some water and then we'll unpack Final Fantasy. Okay, had to limber up for Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy 7. My first Final Fantasy. I like JRPGs. I'm not really deep in them like that, bruh. Like, I played Kingdom Hearts, I played some Mario RPGs, and I played pretty much every Pokemon game, yeah. I like them. I'm not super well versed in them. I played this one. It's like maybe one of the best video games of all time. And the characters are great, the story is great, and it's a game that it's really weird. Is this the only PlayStation 1 game I played, maybe? Not many of them, at the very least. Its graphical limitations are goofy. They're very charming, though. I love these polygon little people. I love the goofy little 20 frames per second cinematic animations where they're not blocky anymore, but they're still very blocky, but they're not supposed to be perceived as blocky, and they probably look like real life if you were a 7-year-old in 1995. The combat, the turn-based combat with a speed system is really satisfying. They're really, really good boss fights in this, and the exploration is weird. Like, a lot of the game is like in this open world that's not really an open world. And I don't think I really loved it too much initially, but as I continue to play, and in hindsight, I quite like it. 97? Shut up. 95, 97. Writing has largely gotten better over the past 20 years. About that, this game is hurt by its limitations in that way, and I think it's shining through it is, well, I don't know. It's hurt by its limitations, but also helped. The story cannot be portrayed in quite the way they want. There is a lot to read into in this game. That is really good story that isn't presented in the best way. And it comes together by putting the pieces together in your mind and reading into the subtleties. And when you get to something like Remake, you get to see a full, like a little bit more realized version of what a lot of these characters are going through. And some of those subtleties you're able to read into, and it's really satisfying. I don't know if the limitation of what it is works in its favor or against it in terms of story. I'm actually not quite sure. You get what I was saying, but I was just messing. Yeah, without going into any details, there's a lot of stuff about Zack, a character named Zack, and Cloud, the main character in this. And being able to unpack that while given very little is quite satisfying. And I think Rixor was like, damn, you're kind of like picking up on like what a lot of people are still in denial of to this day. And I was like, really? And on that, I've seen some people say that Crisis Core kind of does some revisionism stuff. Crisis Core are going to be hard to talk about without spoiling. Surprised I got what was going on with Zack first pass. It's simply because I love this game and it might be my favorite video game ever. It's might be the best game ever. I love it. S tier, top of S. Uh, I don't. What is there to say that's bad about it, man? I like. There's some mistranslations that I don't love. I think that the game is well paced. You don't really linger in many places too well. I love the visuals of it without that being a nostalgia thing. I love the music without that being a nostalgia thing. I love the characters without that being a nostalgia thing. I love everything that's going on with this with no prior attachment. My attachment to Final Fantasy VII going into it was like the stuff in Kingdom Hearts. And I hated Aerith because of her voice actress in Kingdom Hearts 2. So I came into this being a hater on Aerith. And I left out of it loving Aerith. And then I played, I don't know which one to talk about it. Staying power of the game is crazy because it's awesome. Like, I don't know what I can say about it besides it's awesome. And Final Fantasy VII Remake is also awesome. And I think people need to experience it. But rip that band-aid off. This game is a sequel to Final Fantasy VII, straight up. So if you go into Remake without playing 7, you can play it. It is not... You're not going to be getting everything you should be getting out of this game. And it's hard because I know for some people, they can't get past the graphics. They can't get past the turn-based gameplay. And like, for those people, you gotta at least watch a playthrough before you hop into Remake, bruh. And I would say, please give it a shot. Play it on 3 times speed. Give yourself infinite limit breaks. If you gotta cheat, then cheat to experience this game. And you can do that on the modern releases of this version. You can turn on infinite limit breaks, you know, infinite health or whatever. Do what you need to do to play this. Just make sure you play this. I would say don't do that. Use the speed up at some points. I definitely did. But play it, man. And it's not like, I don't know, you don't have to grind. I never grinded. You don't have to do that. If you want to do the secret super bosses, you do, but you don't have to do that. You just like, you know, use the tools in your kit and you can overcome what you need to do. It's really good. Play it. And then, I don't know which one to talk about next. Crisis Core is a prequel to Final Fantasy VII that came out many years later, and then years later again got a remake / remaster for home consoles because the original was a PSP game. It's not worse than Bluey. The remake / remaster, whatever, it very much keeps its handheld roots and its system structure. They didn't restructure it. And I could see that not appealing to a lot of people, where the vast majority of this game are these little missions that can be as short as 30 seconds to a couple minutes. I like them because I like the game. I like the combat. The combat is very basic for the most part in this game. It can be quite spammy. And I can understand not liking that. For some reason, something about it really gelled with me. This focuses on Zack, and he is very lovely. I love him in this game. I will say one thing about this game compared to the other Final Fantasy VII material that I have experienced, that being Final Fantasy VII OG, Remake, and Advent Children. Stuff is going on with the tone of this game. It feels weird, like almost like a different franchise. There are parts of it that feel very Final Fantasy VII, but then there are parts of it that feel like, what the fuck is going on? This is so unlike everything else. And there are parts of this narrative that I love, and parts of this narrative that I hate. There's a character named Genesis. Every time that motherfucker starts yapping about Loveless, like, I'm like, no, check on my watch. Like, can we wrap it up? I didn't care. Anytime. And he's like a big part of the game. So yikes a little bit on that, you know? There's also a lot of jank in this game because it was like it's a remake of a handheld game, and it's also maybe a little bit less of a higher priority than, you know, a big budget game like Remake. A lot of that jank is appealing to me. Some of the animations and the cutscenes are weird as hell. The voice direction, not that great. The voice actors here are all very talented, but the voice direction, especially once you get to Remake and see some of these characters speaking, I don't know what the hell was going on with the direction, bruh. It was very janky and weird, but for me, it kind of fit that tone of some of the weird shit going on in the story. I was like, oh, this feels like a early 2000s anime dub, you know? I kind of liked it. I think that this has one of the best video game endings of all time. I think that the ending of this game marries all of the aspects together in a way that I've never seen the story and gameplay mechanics come together to deliver such an emotional finale in a way like Crisis Core does. Specifically Reunion. I don't know about the original. But the way that the mechanics play into the story as everything comes to an end is so emotional. I go back and I watch the ending of this game sometimes and I just cry. It's lovely. It's so good. That ending will stay with me forever. And even if sometimes the characters don't talk like they're human. Like this game, sometimes the cutscenes in this game are like what people who don't play JRPGs think JRPG cutscenes are like. You know, there's some weird shit going on in here. And sometimes it works for me and sometimes it doesn't. But it all comes together at the end to just break me. And it's lovely. And it's definitely A tier. Or S tier. And I think it's probably right below the Zeldas. And now that leaves us with Final Fantasy VII Remake, which is the sequel to Final Fantasy VII. What the hell? What? This game is great on its own merit as a sequel, but what this game also did was make Final Fantasy VII OG even better. Even better. Even higher than you expect. You're right. It's below Balatro. Keep talking, Gabat. I'll lower it some more. But Remake made me like Final Fantasy VII OG, which I was already like, hey, this is like maybe my favorite video game ever. It made it even better because it helps you fill in some of those blanks. Like, it's very much doing its own thing in a lot of respects, but the subtlety of animation available in this game makes me look back at some of the stuff in the original game through a new lens, through a new context, and like it more. That's the mark of a great sequel. A great sequel making the things before it even better in retrospect, right? Lower than you'd expect? Alright, in between Balatro and Potato. Is that better, Gavet? The thing with Final Fantasy VII is a complete story, right? The original game. The remake is not a complete story. So it does feel a little bit harder to rank for me. It's a setup. I played the Intergrade version with the Yuffie DLC, by the way. Yuffie DLC was lovely. It does feel a little bit harder to rank because I don't know where things are going. So I'm looking at it on its own, and what I'm seeing is a great game with some pacing issues. With one of the best OSTs ever, probably. With fantastic boss fights, like all except like one or two, and there's a lot of them. A hard mode that really recontextualizes the way you play the game, makes you engage with it on a whole nother level, rather than just like bigger numbers. I think the hard mode is fantastic on this. Apparently the combat's really contentious for a lot of people in my chat. I loved it. Combat clicked for me. Very satisfying. Very fun. I adore it. I don't know where to put this, man. Also, yeah, I did definitely overrate Crisis Core. I'd put it probably atop of A, to be honest. I was just really gassed up on the ending of Crisis Core, but as a package, like it's there. Remake is a hard one, man, because the highs are so high and then the lows are so like eye-rolling. And the highs definitely really outweigh the lows, though. I would put it... It's hard. It's hard to rank something like this against like a Brotato or a Balatro, because I'm so bought in and emotionally invested in this, right? I'm so emotionally invested in the characters and the story of Final Fantasy VII, the world of Final Fantasy VII. Whereas like Brotato and Balatro, they don't have these elements, right? That doesn't exist here. Is it better than Wind Waker? It is. I don't know. This is a hard one to do, because it is it is a complete product, but it's part of a larger story going on. It makes it really hard. But I do think where I'm at, it's above Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. Do I think that I would like it less in the hypothetical that I don't like Rebirth or Part 3? I think that story elements that are established in this game could, you know, go in places that are unsatisfying. I don't think that, you know, Rebirth or Part 3 will make the combat or my initial experience any worse, you know. And my initial experience was an amazing one. I mean, that being said, the combat could make, like, Remake's combat, you know, feel worse in retrospect, but I still think that the combat system of Remake is very strong. The boss fights are very strong on their own merit, and in a vacuum, this game is quite good. It's just such a... It's the beginning of such a large saga that the uncertainty of what to come after it does, like, you know, have me a little hesitant on its placement, but I think it is lovely. Oh yeah, I meant to say this when I was ranking Indiana Jones earlier, but I was watching... I dive a little bit into the culture war content on occasion, just to see what people are saying, even though that's obviously not very much my place. I did come across a girl who was streaming this game, who was very upset about how woke Indiana Jones and the Great Circle was, and she got to a scene where Indiana Jones is frightened by a snake in a basket. And here is where she exposed herself. She said, "Oh, really? He's scared of a snake? Wow, and all the girls sit around and laugh at him. He was just going through a sacred underground tomb, and now a snake scares him? They just have to emasculate him." And I was like... I was like, hold up. Girl... That's like the thing everyone quotes. It's one of his biggest character traits, is his fear and disdain for snakes. Like, girl, if you're gonna do the culture war shit, at least read a Wikipedia article. Come on. I know, it's crazy. It's crazy. And here's the thing, there's a scene earlier before that happens where there's a Nazi who is like he's like an epic, you know, master manipulator, so he thinks. And he's like nothing quite as easy to manipulate as like as an insecure male. Which, like, you know, tapping into the insecurity of insecure men is definitely a big part of a fascist movement. But just saying it outright like that I could see if I were on that side of the culture war, I'd be like, come on, this is cringe. Silence from her on that one. It's like, I could do your job better. I don't go there and I could do your job better. Anyways, yeah, I'm pretty content with this list. Great games, and I hope that we have just as many good games on our list next year. Our first game of the new year is gonna be Doom 2016, which is a game I already know I like, and I checked my save data when I downloaded the game. Oh, hi, Dargason. You agree with a lot of these rankings? Nice. Yeah, I'm You're like really Final Fantasy VII pilled, right? I'm super excited to get to Rebirth whenever we do. Shit, what was I gonna say? Shit. Oh yeah, Doom 2016. I checked my my save data for my playthrough from 2016. I last played it in June 2016, which is like a month after its release, and I played on Hurt Me Plenty. So I guess we're gonna bump it up a difficulty, try and have a hard run of that, and that'll be our first playthrough of the year. You also really like Dark Souls. Ooh. Dark Souls or Final Fantasy VII? Also, like, how do you feel about OG? I don't think I ever saw you mention much of OG. Feel free to chime in on anything on this list, you guys. Hot takes, your big disagreements, your big agreements, like, where are we at? I'm really curious. I'd love to hear everyone's opinions on everything. Talk about games, it's fun. Dark Souls is so lovely. It's just, it's hard, man. Like, I'm looking, I'm bad at tier lists. I really hate doing them. Actually, I do one every year, but I'm looking at it. I'm like, I should put this here and this here and this here and this here. Like, I want to change it all already. I described the relationship between OG and remake pretty well. Okay. Dark Souls too high for you. Ah. Deadly Premonition on C tier is criminal robbery. Criminal robbery, that's not even the saying. Highway robbery. Deadly Premonition is an impossible to rank game, by the way. And I do have Deadly Premonition 2, and I am excited to do a Deadly Premonition 2 playthrough sometime this year. But I'm a little nervous with Deadly Premonition 2 because, let's say, for example, Deadly Premonition is Tommy Wiseau's The Room. It's not, because Deadly Premonition is made with legitimate skill and some good craftsmanship in some aspects. But if we were to say that's what this game is, then people are saying Deadly Premonition 2 is Tommy Wiseau's post The Room work. So I'm curious to see how Deadly Premonition 2 is. I'm quite nervous, but also excited and anticipatory. Once for playing it, once for experiencing it. Yeah, I mean, I don't hate the combat of Deadly Premonition. Just not good. It's like serviceable. It's kind of fun, and I do enjoy the bosses. Like, Deadly Premonition sucks, but I wouldn't... It's also great, and I wouldn't change anything about it, probably. I'm glad it exists, as it does. Am I gonna wait for the Switch 2 to play Deadly Premonition 2? I mean, like, would just popping Deadly Premonition 2 into a Switch 2 make it run better? Or would there need to be some kind of performance patch? Would just, like, immediately plopping it into better hardware make it run better? This is a legitimate question because I'm dumb. I don't understand how video games or software work. The real question. Probably. Like, if I plop, you know, Princess Peach Showtime into the Switch 2 release day, is it automatically gonna run without frame drops? Maybe. that actually could make it better. Because, like, I mean, I played Deadly Premonition on my Series X, and it ran pretty well. Probably ran better than it did on the 360, but the backwards compatibility system of Xbox is curated, right? It's not everything, and there's a reason for that. So you assume that the curated ones probably have something going on there. Some consoles can upscale, but it all depends on textures. I mean, I'm sure Deadly Premonition 2 is not going to be optimized well for anything, right? Also, maybe playing Deadly Premonition 2 at 15 frames per second is Swery's vision, right? I did see a Swery tweet on Blue Sky the other day, and Swery just posted like 4 pictures of himself pouring alcohol into wine glasses. It was Drink King, and the king was all capital, and I was like, yes, iconic, so true, so true. I'm excited to check out something else Swery this year as well. Dark Dreams Never Die. Well, thank you guys for hanging. I always enjoy doing these. It's our yearly tradition. Good time. Any more 2025 teasers? Well, I can just go down everything I've written down that has, like, confirmed coming out this year. I think I mentioned most of them, but just as a reminder, I guess. As for stuff I want to check out, like, I kind of want to get into Sonic this year. I think that might be cool. That's an easy series to get into. I'm gonna play another Yakuza game. Whether that's gonna be Yakuza Kiwami 2, or if that's going to be the RGG game that is Fist of the North Star. I don't know. Maybe both. I don't know if Project Century is coming out this year. RGG has crazy output, so it could. Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii, I did see the game, like, showcase, the RGG showcase for that. It looks like maybe the best game ever, but I don't want to play that without, I gotta work my way through that series. You know, I could probably jump in, but I don't want to. That's why I'm really excited for Project Century. Project Century is planned for 2025. Epic. Let me add that then. That's why I'm excited for that, because I get to play a new game by RGG that is Yakuza-esque without, like, spoiling myself. So that's epic. Awesome. Will I ever get into Earthbound? I would like to. SpongeBob game? Yeah, I would love to do Battle for Bikini Bottom. I could also totally play Judgment anytime. Maybe. Alright, so let's see everything we got written down. Donkey Kong Country and Hello Kitty Island Adventure this month. Morsels, they say February, but there's still no date. That's like a roguelike game that looks really wacky. Lost Records, Bloomin' Rage. Episode 1 is going to be February 18th. Episode 2, March 18th. Very excited for that. They released the full song. It's like the theme song for the game, I guess. It was in the trailers. See You in Hell. Very angsty. Very silly. I cannot wait for that game. That's like probably my most anticipated game of the year. Well, maybe not, since Project Century is coming out this year. Avowed is February 18th. I don't know if we're going to be doing a full playthrough of that, but it's on Game Pass, so I'll check it out. It looks cool to me. I don't know, a little nervous with these RPGs, though. Starfield was ass, bruh. Wanderstop is March 11th. This looks to be like a cozy game where you, like, are working at a tea shop, but it seems like it's maybe a bait and switch. And it's actually going to be like a little bit of a psychedelic narrative game, so I'm excited for that. Star Overdrive in April. That's like the Dunes. It's like that weird, they're like skateboarding on the dunes with like a hoverboard or something. I'll answer that in a second, Rexor. Mouse PI for Hire just looks like, I don't know, like a gimmicky boomer shooter. It's going to be on Game Pass, so I'll check it out. It's probably not going to be super long. Wheel World, I don't know what the fuck. Wheel World? Oh yeah, Wheel World is like an open world adventure game where you like ride a bike or something. It looked cool. I kind of want to check that out. Legend of Babu, that looked, I don't know, that was some Microsoft shit. It looked weird. Tenjutsu, I don't even remember what that is. Oh wait, I think that's that Devolver game. It's like a top-down pixel art, like kung fu game. Roguelike maybe? Project Dosa, I don't remember what that is. Harmonium the Musical, who knows if that's ever even coming out. Mixtape, it looks like Life is Strange vibes. Will be there. Metroid Prime 4. I didn't get to play 2 or 3, I guess, before 4, but oh well, I'll play it. Moth Cubit looked like a fun little indie RPG to me, with lots of like variety and mini games and stuff, maybe. South of Midnight, that's like Xbox's big release this year, I guess. That and Avowed. I'll play it. Hopefully it's good. Showa American Story looks like batshit insanity. I don't think that game is going to be good, but I guess I'll play it. And Project Century, new RGG game. I might check out if the new Virtua Fighter has a single player. I might check it out, and then I might try and get into the online. If it's just like online and arcade, then I might skip it. But if it has a single player, I might play it, because I was thinking it might be kind of fun to do like some fighting game single player stuff. Like I thought it might be cool for Saturday streams to do like a full playthrough of like Injustice Gods Among Us story, and then like Injustice 2 the next Saturday or something, you know? Am I prepping to get a Switch 2 as early as possible? I guess that depends on Nintendo, right? Like I got a Switch like, I don't know, like a year after release, I think. With Switch 2, it depends on if Nintendo is going to do their little artificial scarcity shit, or if they're going to have enough to meet the market's desire. Like I'm going to try and pre-order it when it's announced. But I'm not going to like pay $1 million to get it from a scalper or something. If I can get a Switch 2, by simply pre-ordering it, I will. But also hopefully it has like good games on release, right? It'll probably have Mario Kart at least, which I'll know life. And it'll probably have like a Switch Sports 2 or something, right? Maybe, I don't know. I didn't play Switch Sports, but I'm more inclined to buy gimmicky shit like that at the beginning. Like I'm not gonna buy Switch Sports 10 years, like 7 years into the console's lifespan. If Switch Sports is like their year one, sure, what the hell, I'll buy it. You have Switch Sports? I'm sure it's probably fun. It's just like not what I'm gonna be getting up to, right? Even if it's good, I'm just not there mentally. And that is the end of our third 1 hour Animal Crossing music loop. And I guess that's going to be our end credits roll. Thank you for watching. This was fun. See you tomorrow. Bye bye. Peace. Bye bye.